My name is Monica Gleiberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we're talking to Jeff Pierre, who plays Trey Barnett on the CW hit Walker. This season at Ranger HQ, Walker's razor-tongue rookie partner, Cassie, has already had one partner disappear and will go to any lengths to not repeat her past, even if it means breaking Ranger protocol. Despite it all, she stumbles into a connection with a charming chief of staff to the mayor who is keen on getting to know her and fitting into her life. Meanwhile, Trey struggles to prove himself worthy of being the only Ranger who hasn't come up the traditional path. So to talk about Trey's evolution, where he is now, how he's playing undercover in the Gray Flag, and what we can expect for the final few episodes of the season, here's Jeff Pierre. Okay, so like I said, I'm so excited to have you on here.
Not as excited as I am. Thank you for having me. Honestly, like I've been looking forward to this.
Oh my gosh,
Appreciate it.
I'm so excited. I just have to state for the record, on behalf of all women and men in the world, you are one gorgeous looking person. Just for the record. Okay, I'm allowed
Thank
to
you.
say it, okay?
I appreciate that. Please don't start making me blush now. I'm like,
I mean, like you're
that's
like put
awesome.
together, you're like all
I,
you are good for camera.
I
You're like camera ready.
thank you. I appreciate it, man. I like to, I like to look after myself. I like to
Keep it
stay
fresh.
healthy, fit, keep it fresh. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I had to get out of the way because I have a ton of fan questions and I'll pick out some of them to ask you. But I will say there were a lot of comments about your looks. There's so many things I want to ask you. So I'm going to start off with very
I
simple.
love the excitement. I can see it. It's like yeah.
I am like I'm so much in my brain. I know you probably have answered this question already, but so you were obviously not on the show like day one. So you kind of like came in. I wanted to know what that was like in terms of not because you weren't in the pilot, right?
I
I
was
don't
about to say, yeah, I was. Yes. Yes, I
you were
did
in the
come in.
pilot.
Yeah, yeah. It was brief. So like the the
Okay.
the arc the arc of Trey has been
Well,
incredible.
drastic. I mean
I must say.
drastic. Like
Yeah,
super
yeah,
drastic. Okay.
for
So
sure.
I wanted to ask you, like, it kind of was leading to basically that, which was like the drastic increase in storyline. Because as
Yeah.
an actor, when you start off, like, so obviously, like, so in the pilot, you have a couple scenes, whatever. As you keep going, that's like a lot of pressure because you start getting these scripts, and all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'm on 2 pages, and now I'm on 15 pages, and now I'm doing
Yeah.
running scenes, and now I'm on a horse, and now I'm chasing people, and now I'm becoming a ranger. So like it just gets nuttier, nuttier, nuttier. So as an actor, how
Yeah.
do you do that? Like how do you prep it? How do you read all of that and just go, okay, I got all of this to do and kind of increase it over time?
It is a lot, but I mean, I I love it. Like everything that you just mentioned is stuff that I live for. I literally work out for those reasons to chase people down on screen and ride horses, jumping, doing all that. I love stuff like that. I mean, I'm a little kid at heart, and I just grew up watching. I watched the Walker Texas Ranger back in the day. Like I used to watch things like that and just be like, I want to do that on TV. Pretend, I don't really want to do it in real life. But I mean, as far as like the scripts go, and then me getting more and more work, I mean that's every actor's dream, So the fact that they're giving me more work, I guess that means they like me, they love me. So that's a really really good thing, especially for like my self esteem, obviously. But it's such a fun show, and the thing is, it's about the other characters and like the other actors that I work with. I mean, we're like one big family. So my whole thing was like on season one, I didn't get a chance to really work with that many people, right? It was mainly Mickey, Lindsay Morgan's character, Mickey Ramirez, and then like I had a couple scenes with like Walker or Captain James. But other than that, I really didn't get much with anybody else, and the kids as well too. But being able to work with all these other actors on the show that are phenomenal, it makes my job that much easier because they come ready and they bring it. So I'm definitely going to do the same thing. So when I get these scripts now and there's more work for me, it's just like that just means there's more room to play. There's more for me to do, and I digested pretty well, I think.
Well, I was so happy because, obviously like years have gone by, so clearly I forgot that you were in the pilot, but you like as a boyfriend, like when you're a boyfriend on a show, which is
Yeah,
kind of where you started, it
yeah,
gets me nervous, right? Because when you guys had that episode where you break up, I went, oh no,
yeah,
like I really like you and I really like
yeah.
your character. So when you read that, were you like, oh no,
Woo!
there might not be a storyline for me here because she's going and we're breaking up?
It it was exactly that, but it was twofolded because I mean, I've already, befriended Lindsay, Mickey Ramirez, the character that she plays. I mean, Trey is passionately in love with her. That's like the love of his life. He wants to get married with her. But in real life, I mean, that actress, like me and her, we were just like, we were just having fun on set. So when I read that, I was like, wait, what's going on? I'm like, hold on, no, she's not leaving. And she was like, I started panicking, and I was like, wait, no, if she's leaving, then what does that mean for me? So like it was crazy. But that was short lived because literally as soon as I finished that, the showrunner, Anna and Jared, they both like called and texted me and was like, hey, we just want to let you know, whatever happens, with Mickey, Trey, you're good. He's like, we don't know what the future holds. At that time, we didn't, but they were just like, we want to let you know that you're good. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. That's great. So then I knew that they definitely want to keep the character around.
Mhm.
And I mean, clearly as you can see, they evolved the character. I mean, he went from being a high school soccer coach slash guidance counselor, parking lot attendant. I had a whole bunch of jobs season two. It was insane. It was like Trey did everything at the
They
school.
were like,
I was
what
like,
can we
wait a
give
minute.
him till we figure out where to put him?
But I was like, were there any other teachers
Oh,
or
social. You
people
were
that
kind of
worked
like a
at the
social
school?
worker. You were kind of like a help.
Yes.
You did like
Yeah.
kind of social
Yeah.
work a little bit
I
and VA.
Jack of all
Like,
trades. Yep.
yeah, the
Yep.
VA. Like, you did a ton of
Yeah.
stuff where they kind of
A
like,
ton of stuff.
I was laughing because when I was looking back at those episodes, I was like, they could have just brought him on, like as a ranger. But like they literally just made you do like a million jobs. And then they were like,
Oh
and
yes.
I love Kobe, like for Larry to be like, oh, he might make a good ranger. And I'm like, yeah, he did 55 freaking other jobs. He's running miles with like these other guys. Like, I think he'd be
They
okay.
planted that seed for sure. They
Yeah, not to
planted that
mention like you
seed.
save his life, you're taking
Yeah.
bullets, and like you're not even a ranger in any of that stuff. So it was just so funny. I was like, give the guy a break. Like, give him
Yeah.
a job.
It was about time, man. And I was really happy about that just because it's fun. And I do miss the school stuff, like working with those kids like Kale and Violet, working with those guys. It's always fun. It's amazing. So hopefully we figure out a way to do both. But I mean, being a ranger is really cool. It's fun.
I know it's so awesome
I
because
must
you're
admit.
like a grown up cowboy. I mean, like, what's better than
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Man, I never thought that I would see myself in a Stetson. Like it feels like my cape. Anytime I put that thing on in the shades, that's kind of my signature thing. I was like, I want to add my flair to it. So Trey has the shades, the Stetson, the shoulder holster, the boots. I'm like, this is man, this is cool. It's like being in my superhero outfit. So
Yeah.
I love being in uniform and adding my own flair to it as well.
Yeah, and I love it too because like, it's very difficult. And I was talking about this with Walker Independent. So for people listening, you probably heard it already, but
Yeah.
about diversity. And that, we're not in a point where we should be. And the fact that I have to bring it up, and I've said this like 20 times to people listening to all the podcasts, are probably like, oh my God, she says it every time. But we're not where we should be. Because I have
Right.
for the pure reason I have to even mention it means we're
Yeah.
not where we should be. But
1000%.
what's amazing is that you are a person of color that is on a network show that is not really necessarily known for that. I'm allowed to say that. You don't, I won't get you in trouble. Not necessarily
Okay.
for that, but is someone that like looks like a lot of other young girls and boys that are watching, that is a guy that started out literally like in the boyfriendy working at the high school,
Yeah.
all things,
Yeah.
to the impossible, which was
Yeah.
becoming a ranger. So like what
Yes.
does that mean for you? Because I don't know how many people you got to see growing up, but like it wasn't that many that were on screen.
No.
So there are people looking to you going, I could do that. Like I could be that.
Like that just, man, that just that warmed my heart just hearing you say that, because I mean it means everything. To me, honestly, it means everything, because at the end of the day, being in this industry, being an actor, like this form of artistry, what do I want to do? I really want to give other people an experience, people that look like me or, can relate to me. I want them to actually have an experience, or I want to be able to change their opinions, like, the younger generation, like, oh wow, just like you said, I can do that. That's possible. All those things, like whether it's in real life or if they want to become an actor, like, wow, I can really do that. That guy is like me. Look at his journey. And that's why I love Trey's journey. Like, I think it's way better the way that it turned out than if I just came on the scene as a ranger, from day one, which, hey, that would have been cool. That would have been great. But I think it's an amazing, like, arc, an amazing storyline for the character, the way that, he's kind of gone through all these things. And he's gone through a lot. The fact that he came onto the scene as, like, the love interest, the boyfriend, and he was just the perfect boyfriend, to be honest. Like, this guy was great. I was like, that's not me. Like, I'm not saying that it was bad, but like, this guy was just too good. Like, he's there cooking, cleaning, doing everything, there for emotional support and all that. I'm like, wow, is there any human being that's like that? And then, at the same time, he's, at the school, handling things with the kids. They won a state championship. I'm like, I want to be Trey, like, in real life. But he did all of that, and then, obviously, he had to go through heartbreak, handle that, and now he's in the town making new relationships, new friends, and still trying to figure himself out, trying to figure out what he really wants to do. And then, it's, Captain Larry James, who kind of, you know helps him out with that situation and offers, an opportunity, and he runs with it. And as soon as he takes that opportunity, man, it's just like, okay, I think this is what I was meant to do. And I just love that, especially being a man of color. Like you said, we don't get enough of this. I mean, it's a slow progress, very slow, but I feel good to be in this position now, and hopefully, that will open more doors for other people. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it absolutely will. And what's so funny is, ironically, we're joking about how many jobs he had and all these things, but on a serious note, like if you look at it at a deeper level, that's what
mm,
people have to go through of color.
they
Like
do.
people that are black, people that are indigenous communities, all like, whatever, all of these people have to go through 500,000 things to get to where they want.
Yes,
So the fact that it kind of matches what someone
yeah,
might have to go through, it's not fair, but it
right.
shows you that like this guy went through all of these things to find what he wanted to do, found it and did it, and now is doing it, if that makes sense. And that's like an
And at
amazing
the end of the day, it's what we call, yeah, it's what we call the grind, right? He really went through the trenches, like, he grinded it out, and he came out on top. That's what we, yeah, what we have to do all the time. It's like you said,
yeah.
it's true.
I mean, it's
Um,
amazing. I love it so much, and I love the fact that I agree with you that I think if he came in as a ranger, it might not have meant as much, I think, to people that are younger that are watching,
for
because
sure.
then it's like TV. Then it's not
Yeah,
like this is like a whole
exactly.
story. And then I also love that they didn't use it as a storyline. It wasn't like, oh, he's the black one, we need to bring him in. And
Yeah.
or it wasn't like, good old Caps, like, we need someone else that looks kind of like me to come in. There was none of that. There's no conversation. It's just, you're
Right.
doing good. You saved my life. You've done this, this, and this. You've proven yourself. We're
Yeah.
bringing you in. And I
Yeah.
loved that, because the other shtick that they do in this Hollywood game, as you know, is like use it for something. And it wasn't
For
used for
sure.
something. And I loved that storyline, that it wasn't. And it was just so beautiful to see you change like that. And for all these people to watch it. I mean, it's great.
Kudos to our writers, for sure. They're incredible. They're incredible. We have an amazing writing team, and like, the one thing that I also really love about them is they're collaborative. If I ever have any ideas, they're open, and we've used many, and some, if it doesn't work, fine, that's cool. I mean, I think Anna and Jared, they set that tone since day one. They said, if it works fine. If it doesn't, cool. But I mean, they're very open to the actors collaborating and having questions, and switching up things. I won't name any names, but there's plenty of actors that was like, hey, no, that's not going to work. I want to change that. on this show. I won't name any of them, but
Listen,
they're
I've heard
constantly
from a
texting and
couple.
calling. Yeah, I won't throw anybody under the bus. I
I've
might not.
heard from a couple going that they've well, I'll say this. I've heard from a couple other actors, which I mean everyone's gonna hear it anyway in the podcast, but I've heard from a couple other that they went to Jared. Jared was like very encouraging, like, listen, if you don't feel comfortable, go up and like say something, which is a great
Yeah,
thing. But then it was just very funny because then it was like, well, is everybody going up? So I was like, is everybody kind of like changing, or is my character saying this? Should he be saying that? But that
yeah,
freedom is such a beautiful thing
yeah,
that's not offered. So for some of the other people that I spoke to, it was very funny. They were like, "Oh yeah, Jared," and I'm like, "Of course, Jared said it because he can, he could go up and do all of those things." And
yeah,
but it
yeah.
was nice to see that he's like empowering some of the younger, actors on the show,
Yes,
empowering some of the older actors on the show to be like, "Listen, you have a voice. We're
yeah.
willing to hear you out." And then, if you feel comfortable, you can go up and say something, and but at least you have that opportunity, like that chance versus not having it.
100%. Because there's plenty of jobs in this industry where you don't get that. It's
Right.
like either my way or the highway. That's it. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I will
I
come
know.
in
It's
here
crazy.
and say my lines.
It's so crazy to
Yeah,
me. But to
yeah.
go back to when you were initially the boyfriend, that's what I'm just gonna call you at that point, because
I
the
love it. Hey,
you were
I
way more.
was.
Yeah, but you were way more than that because like your character had so much depth and so much beauty and so much forgiveness and so much like there was a lot to that character. So I don't want to be like, oh yeah, he was just boyfriend. But when you were at that stage
Listen,
of the show,
real quick. I need to have you on set with me at all times. Like this is it. This is amazing. I love
I will come on. I
it.
know, like I can call him out because we're talking all the time now. Kale was like, you have to come on set because I told Kale that I
Yeah.
would I would let him drive my rental because he like just got his driver's license and he's like they won't let me drive anything. I'm like, oh, you'll drive my rental. Like we'll go to the ranch. You could drive it around. I'm like, you can do whatever you want. And he was like, oh, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I was like, I'll come down. You could just drive the car.
Make
So
sure you're insured. Get that insurance. Make sure. I'm just saying.
I'll get the extra.
Yeah,
I'll get
exactly.
the extra. But like, no, I
Yeah.
will totally come down there. Yeah, I'll be like a little cheerleader, like in between takes when you guys are like doing but it's true. So like I do think that you were way more than a boyfriend, but
Right.
you're at that point and you do read that in the script. Just go back for a second. When
Hmm.
Jared called you up and was like, listen, don't worry, you're not gone. Was
Yeah.
there like any type of like communication as to how close you were going to end up being? Because like you, Jared, I mean, so many of you guys are like now the core little group
Right.
together. So, was there any kind of knowledge as to where you were going? What did Jared say on that call that you were like, okay, I feel it right. I'm gonna get my paycheck. I'm gonna still be on the show. I'm not leaving. So, like,
Yeah.
how did that conversation go down?
I mean, I think it was more so just to kind of give me the peace of mind to know that, hey, yes, I'm still working. I'm still going to have this job. I think at that point in time, everything was just happening so fast that we didn't know exactly where the storyline was going to go. Like it wasn't like he was like, hey man, listen, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with you and Mickey, but you're still going to be here and you're going to become a ranger. Like that wasn't a thing at that time. We didn't know. It was just they're going to figure. It was kind of more so like let's figure it out. And I think again, man, our writers are incredible because I mean they were just thinking on their feet and they kind of had to roll with the punches because like when that happened on that episode, I think it might have been only maybe 4 episodes later where we got Cassie, who, oh my God, incredible, incredible. Um, um, I think that's when that happened. So again, they were just trying to figure this thing out. And I know one thing that I don't know if I could say it. Yeah, I think I could say it. But one thing for me, I reached out to Anna. I reached out to her and told her, when all this was going down before Cassie was even casted, before Ashley was casted as Cassie, I told her, hey, I know we're gonna have somebody that's gonna come in and replace Mickey. I hope, and you know what? I told her I really would appreciate if it's not a thing where she just comes in and this becomes Trey's new love interest, unless it's like, Mickey Ramirez, we're trying to do like a Aunt Viv type thing from Fresh Prince. I don't know. Unless we're doing that, okay, cool. But I mean,
I don't know how that
obviously,
worked back in the day, by the way.
I
We all bought
but
that shit too. We were like, oh,
we
she looks
bought it
different, but whatever. We like
exactly,
bought
and
it.
and they played at that too. It was so I love that show. That was so funny how
Oh,
they did
so
that.
good.
But I was like, hey, if we're having somebody come in and I don't know whoever it may be, I just don't want it to be a thing where Trey just hops right back into a relationship with that person because I mean, like, I'm just speaking from the character's perspective. It's like clearly this man, like, he was in love with this woman. It wasn't just like a fling, like so it doesn't make any sense to just all right, the next I don't know Ranger or whoever this chick is, that's gonna be Trey's new girlfriend. So I mean, maybe over time, who knows, whatever. But she was like, "Oh no, I completely understand." And I was like, "Okay, perfect." That was the one thing for me. I wasn't trying to control, the trajectory of my character or anything like that. That was just the one thing that, kind of that was for me that I was like, held true. As long as like, hey, Trey just kind of figured out what he wanted to do. But yeah, other than that, I in that moment did not know where we were gonna go with the storyline, to be honest. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
and I love that you did that because
Yeah.
okay, so I'm obviously a viewer, right? And I watch it
Yeah.
very like, critically, right? Like when I'm watching the show. When they brought Cassie, so when they brought Ashley on, right
Yeah.
away I went like I was like, don't make it like a girlfriend because there's
Yep.
chemistry between the two of you, and you guys are so cute and funny. And so there's chemistry there. So I was like, oh no, like we just got and I feel like he's gonna like, he wanted to marry the other one, like this is too
Yep.
much, and like it's just not viable. And like he finally is trying to like he's not even out of the apartment really yet.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that was like a huge issue for me. And I was gonna say, like, if they went down that road, I was gonna have like a huge like be like, that didn't work. That was gonna be like my issue for the season, like if it came up. And so I'm so glad you said that because instead, the other thing that I really liked about it is instead of that, it formed this beautiful friendship, right, between Trey and Cassie.
Yes.
But also it didn't again use her as a reason to come onto the show too. It was like so
Right.
she could build her own sense of self, her own character. We all get to know her before even for her, before any romantic kind of situation showed up, even in her storyline. So the fact that you kind of like mentioned it, I think you were on the right track because I think all of us were probably saying the same thing. I was like, no, like don't just throw him with somebody else again. And then, so I think it helps both of you. It helps
Yeah.
her be able to have her own voice and not just come on and be Trey's girlfriend, because that's what she would have been in the beginning too.
Right. Right. 1000%. And again, like our writers, I think they were already on that track, but I just didn't know. So I wanted to check and make sure. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think both our viewpoints aligned. And to the point where when I think it was the first scene that I had with Ashley, where we were working together and she was great. I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome. It almost felt like she's been there since day one. I think that's a thing that I say all the time. Like she just fits right into the mold. But when we first worked together, like the chemistry was there, like the playfulness and all that. But it's so funny because the writers would chime in and they're like, a little less. It almost came off flirtatious. It was unintentional, but they were like, between me and her, they're like, ooh, oh, the chemistry's there. Let's like, let's ease back on that a little bit. It's more friendly. Like I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I thought that's what we're playing. We're not, but I think it was there instantaneously, so they wanted to make sure that no, let's not lean into that. So yeah, I'm glad that they maintained that track as well, for
Yeah,
sure.
it really was, by the way. Like when she
Yeah, yeah,
that's the other thing too, 'cause it's really hard to like replace or like bring in a new character. So I was like nervous for her.
yeah,
And then when she came in, not only did she fit right in, but yeah, like that's why I think we were all nervous because you guys had the most scenes together in the beginning, other than her and Cordell's, right? Like her,
yep,
so like or her and Walker. So it was like yeah like you can feel it so I was like I don't know if it's
yeah,
happening now if it's happening in the future, but you could see a shift at one point when they were just and then when she was just like annoying him like a little sister and would be like like I like well I'm gonna
yes,
come with you or I'm gonna get next to her or like whatever she was doing was so cute and then it kind of like turned a little bit and
yeah,
you could just see like they care about each other and then whether that turns into something fine
definitely,
like I think it was all the right
exactly,
on that end but to kind
yeah.
of
Because
like
see, at that point, they would have earned it. At that point,
right
if it
true
ever happens, they would have earned it. Yeah,
yeah no for sure.
yeah.
And what's funny is to make a total like 360 or 180. depending on how you want to look at it. So then you have scenes
Yeah.
with the guys. So
Yeah. Yeah,
I
the
talk about
guys.
men. Let's talk about these men on the show. So first of all, I want to talk about the running. So you have Liam, Walker, Trey running. Now, here's my thing.
Yes.
It's freaking 500,000 degrees. Why are you guys running freaking miles to race to get a hat, like to get a hat and run back? I would never do this. Like, I would just be like, no, I'm cool. I don't need the hat. I'm good. I don't want to sweat. I don't want to be. So let's talk about this. So, like, are you guys really running through this? What shenanigans are the three of you up to? These scenes? What's going on?
Because we're actors on a TV show. That's exactly why we're doing it. Because I want to tell you right now, I like to stay fit and active and, I'll run, jump rope, do all kinds of different activities. But I'm going to let you know right now, there's no way I was ever about to do that in real life, just in that weather, the humidity. This was like, I want to say like August, September in Austin, Texas.
Mm.
I'm not running out there in that heat. You crazy? So yes, only actors on a TV show would be doing that. And trust me, we did. That was the thing. We definitely we were running. And it's Keegan who has like a Fitbit or a Whoop, one of those things where it actually calculates, how many calories you burn, stuff like that. So we were doing all these different takes where we're running, and me and him, we're going balls out because our director was like, "Hey, guys, go at it." And then me and Keegan are just kind of like playing at each other, like getting real competitive. And he's like, "Hey, you're gonna go all out?" And I'm like, "Well, if you're gonna go all out, so am I." So we did, and then I'm telling you, by the end of the day, I think Keegan he tracked it, and we burned maybe like a good somewhere between like 3,000, 4,000 calories. Like just yeah, because but I mean it was insane. We were really running and there was different sequences. So we had to make sure that we kept up with it. And the thing is, it's mainly me and him that are like neck and neck, and then like Walker's ahead. So Jared did his thing too. But
Hey, so that was going to be my next question. So you guys are neck and neck, which means so like in TV land, right? They have to shoot
yeah,
multiple shots. So they're shooting a wide
yes,
shot, they're shooting your face, they're shooting Keegan's face, so and so, which is why you have to do it so many times, which is why I
yeah.
was like, what the hell are they doing running in 100 degrees? But I want to know, did Jared get off of that? Because he just takes off. So like we don't have to see like 12 different shots of Jared. Like
Yeah,
we just see Walker at the end, like grabbing the hat.
yeah.
Was he like in the punishment in the trenches running with you guys, or did he get a little bit of slack on that one?
I'm gonna give it to him. Yes, he was definitely in there for a few.
Okay.
Like I would say me and Keegan had more, but no, he was in the trenches too, man. We were out
Okay.
there in the heat, sweating it out for sure, grinding it. And again, it's just always fun when it's the guys. It's just like it's a different camaraderie. And Jared is a prankster. He is a fool. Like he's so funny, fun to be around. So when we were running, like it just kind of happened organically, but this dude came up with the funniest laugh. Like it was like a squeal. I, like sometimes you can't take the scenes too seriously when you're with him because he'll just like do something and he'll break you out of character. So it's hard to maintain your composure in the scene when you're working with Jared. Like I still like him squealing was just hilarious when he would take off. And I was like, wait, was that real? Are we still rolling? But yeah. We were in the trenches together for sure.
So and I'm like I'm like so intrigued by this. So when the three of you are in 100-degree weather, there's doing
Yeah,
500,000 shots, your
yeah,
close-ups, far away, all of that stuff. They have to reset, right? So while they're
yeah.
resetting, are you guys like shenaniganing each other up? Like what's happening? Because I've known Jared a long time, so I feel like he's pranking. So I want to ask about
Oh
that
yeah.
before we get to the pranking. Are the three of you kind of like messing with each other? Like what's going on while they're resetting and you're not on camera?
It's a number of things. I mean, it could be the shenanigans, which it's always there, or watch talk. These guys got me into watches. Jared is, man, the guru of watches. Like, he's a collector. And so is Keegan, like both of these guys. And I think it was the top of season two, where, I learned enough where I was like, okay, these guys are big into watches. I'm like, all right, I want to get myself a really nice watch. Let me ask them. And it just became a thing where they brainwashed me. And now I'm in that watch world. I didn't know, but it's a world. There's watch nerds. And I can happily say that I think I'm a watch nerd as well too now. So they got me. So it's between shenanigans, watch talk, and just just hanging out, talking. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and I must say, by the way, Keegan's trying to screw me because and fans because on his Instagram he posts about the
Yeah.
free watches. So like
Yes.
I was looking at some of his videos and I was like, damn, that is a really nice watch. But then he's like reading
Yes.
all these numbers off and like I don't know what that means. So I'm like, that sounds like
The
it's
reference
cool. Like
numbers.
yeah, and I'm
Yes.
like, it sounds like that's important, but I don't know what that does. And then he's like, and then this watch, and I'm like, but it looks the same. And I'm like, Keegan's gonna kill me. I'm like, but it looks the same. I don't know. And then he starts reading like a different thing, and I'm going, okay, so does that do something different? Like I don't know. And like but like literally, it's like no joke with it. Like he is like
Yeah.
really. So then I literally
Hardcore.
started looking it up, and I was like, oh, these numbers all mean like this means that it could do that. This means it
Yep.
can go in the water. This means it will
Yep.
last for X. This is the battery type that goes in. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
crap. And then I was like, I need to stop watching this, like watching his little watch videos. Because you get
See,
like you go
you go
down.
down the rabbit hole. Yes. Yes.
I went down the rabbit hole. And the thing is, like a lot of the watches are like a little like masculine like watches. So like I wanted to
Yeah.
joke with Keegan that he needs to do some female ones so that I could see like get some perspective on them. But I
Yeah.
mean beautiful. But I went down a little bit
Amazing.
he did his videos and he does this beautiful I like this I don't know if you've watched them before, but like his little narrations.
Yep.
I
Yep.
die. I die when he
Yep.
does the narration that he's like, so we're gonna show you today the watches that I'm like looking at. It's his watch number and then he reads it off and like does it. But they're produced so well. So like you just get
So well.
invested. And then I started looking at watches like a crazy. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get that for my dad. And then
You see, you see what I mean? He got you.
got
And it
me.
wasn't even directly. He
I
got you
know.
though.
Well, that's what I mean because like he's putting it on his social for fans. So like
Yes.
literally, my dad's a watch guy. And like literally I know nothing. So like I'll walk in if I get my dad to watch and I'm like, what do you guys suggest? What's the best? What are the guys,
Right.
what's the best meaning like affordable? Like what's the best
Right.
get my dad?
Right.
And like they'll start explaining stuff to me and I go, I don't know. What like whatever. Like what let me see if it looks pretty. And then you tell me if
Yeah.
that's like good. But when I started watching his, I was like, yo, like maybe I'll get one of those for my dad. And then literally I was like, Stella. So I'm like, I don't know if I can afford this. Like I'm looking at numbers and shit.
Yeah.
So
Oh, trust me. I
I
know.
have to give him a hard time about it because I went such downhill with that. But yeah, it's just funny that you would bring that up. So I guess you guys are talking about it on set too. So he's driving you all.
Yes, we are.
That's funny.
1000%.
That's amazing. And then do you also take speaking of Keegan, do you also take place in I loved his I want him to bring it back, but when he was doing those this week on Walker and like
Yes.
I love those things. So like I think you voiced one of them or recorded one of them. I know that he tries to like harass a lot of cast members to do that.
Yeah.
So where did those go? I want those to come back, but like where did the idea do you know where the idea came from for those?
I actually don't know the idea. I don't know the idea where it came from, but we all loved it. It was like genius. And I think he just kind of organically did it because it was one of those episodes, the early episode in season 3, where he was just doing a whole bunch of behind the scenes pictures and footage, and then he just kind of put it all together. And I think he was just randomly trying to narrate as the pictures were flowing through, and it became like this funny narration, and it was organic. So then it just became a thing where he did it. And to be honest, like he's also become like our behind the scenes guy for photos, like because he's a camera guy as well. He's a photographer. I mean, camera guy. He's a straight up photographer, and he has all these cameras that he brings on set, and he just captures the most amazing pictures. Like from now on, I'm like, I must work with Keegan on every episode because I know I'm gonna have a great shot of myself.
I know,
It's
like
selfish, but
I have to go over all of this with Keegan because I have like a list of stuff. But like when he did those voiceover things, which I want him to bring back because I feel like I haven't seen one in a while. I died when Mitch did it. I died.
Yes.
It was one of the funniest one because it was like, oh, there's me, there's a tree. I think there's something. And it was like 2 seconds off of like every photo that we're seeing, and it was so funny.
It was
And I was
funny.
like, this is such a great promotion for this show. Like to just do these. I just
I
love
think we should all
bring
do
that.
it. And like every week, it would be a random cast member of like, all right, Jeff, you're gonna narrate it. All right, Kayla, you're gonna narrate this one. Like, I think that would be funny. But obviously, Keegan produces the whole thing, does the photos. I think that was a great idea. You're
Oh
onto
my gosh.
something. We might have to. We
I
might
know
have to
we have
make
to
that
bring it back
a
or
weekly
like
thing.
listen, I'll take what assets they send me. I'll put a little slide
Yeah.
together and then I'll just call you guys up. Y'all could like narrate it. We'll make it happen. I want to bring it back. I want to bring it back.
Because it
Seriously.
was great for me to just repost. That's what I would do. I'm like, oh, this is all my work is done for me. Repost
Yeah,
tonight's episode of Walker.
you're like, I recorded my voice out.
Yes,
Mic drop. Nothing for me to worry about.
exactly. Yeah,
Well, I love those. They have to come back. And yours was so funny too. Like they're just so funny and like entertaining. So we'll have to like figure out a way to bring those back. I
definitely,
love those.
definitely,
But back to
definitely.
my love of Trey. So
Yes, thank you.
back to my love of Trey.
What do you
So
got?
so when you eventually start reading and you see like, all right, he's in the school, blah, 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 and he starts going further and further, and now he's starting to get involved in like shootouts and things are happening. Were you
Mhm.
like, I need to hit the gym? Like, because I have a feeling I'm heading towards a ranger situation or even a
Yeah,
like whatever he was thinking.
yeah.
Um, were you like, okay, I need to like beef up? I mean, you were already like in really good shape, but were you like, I need to kind of like add something because I might be done in that uniform soon?
I know. Most definitely. I think it's always. I try to stay in shape. You know, like I don't know, 12 months out the year. I try to, but I mean, once you're on a hiatus or, there might be a month where like, cool, I'm having drinks here, I'm eating this, I'm eating out. So when I want to lock in, I lock in. Like it's all about the nutrition to me, like a good 90% of it. But I've always maintained a healthy fitness. I always stay active because I like to do a number of things. Like I do Muay Thai, weight training. Now I'm more into like calisthenics, so like body weight training. So I do a number of things that kind of help me maintain shape. So now it's more so about the nutrition. So I knew once we started getting into that realm, I was like, all right, all right, let me lock in on the nutrition, make sure that everything that I'm putting in my body is super healthy. But yeah, I think I was ready for all the physical stuff. Like that's the stuff I was really excited for. One of my favorite episodes physically was I think 306, where that was kind of Trey's test actually. Like he didn't even really know it, but that was his test as far as like leading the case and the horse riding. Like that was incredible because I mean I've already done horse riding like for season one, season two, but this was one where they're like, hey, we're actually gonna have a chase. You're gonna chase down the assailant. And I was like, okay, perfect. So we did all that, loping and everything with the horse. And I thought I was ready, which I was ready. But then our stunt coordinator, Chad, on the day, he's like, hey, this would be cool if you just hopped on the horse. And he did it. And I was like, wait, I didn't practice that. What are you talking about? And the horses they're up there, so like I know how to actually put my foot in the stirrup and then throw my leg over. But he's like, no, you're just going to hop on the horse, like legs flying over, and then you just hop right on it. And I'm like, huh, okay, that's really cool. It looks cool, but I was like, I haven't practiced that, and this was on the spot. We were about to film the scene, and him and a couple of our other horse wranglers, they showed me a couple of practice runs, and maybe I did it about like 2, 3 times before I got comfortable, and it just worked, man. Like it's a lot harder than it looks because I think they made me look really good, but
It
it's really hard to get that
no,
down.
it looks freaking hard. So
It
like
looks
you're
it's
like it does not look easy. I don't know what you're talking about.
it's
Like, it looks easy.
yeah,
You
it's
guys are actors, but I mean like when I was watching it, you do like yes, I know how to ride a horse.
effortlessly.
Or like and
Yeah.
let's be real. When you're like a regular person going to ride a horse, they even have that nice little step for you. Like let's like
Yes.
call it a day where they like bring the horse over. We all cheat, and you
Yeah.
step 2 steps, and it helps you get your little foot in, and you can kind of so that's like sort of cheating. Then like if you're
Yeah.
a horse rider, yeah, so you like pull yourself up, you put your foot in, and kind of like pull yourself.
Yep. Yep.
How the hell do you go from being on the ground to hopping on I mean, that could be like 6, 7 feet.
I mean, yeah.
How do you practice this? Like what?
I they showed me, and it was more so about the technique of actually getting my leg over. So that's really what it was. I think I'm very lucky that I guess the athleticism was already there, working out. Thank God I've done that. But this is something new, right? So I got to learn that movement and the technique for it. That's really all it was. So I think me, being physically fit was the base. Okay, cool. Now that I know that I can actually get up there, fine. How do I do the technique where I make it look effortlessly? I think that's the key. It's like, hey, it has to look cool, has to look effortless, right? So that's really all it was, and that's why I'm grateful that I think I worked out enough to get to that point.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
kinesiology of it, like in terms of like the movement, because that's what's so
Yes.
interesting. Like trying because
Yeah.
like you're like probably super strong in terms of like the physicality. So yes, you
Yeah.
could like, physically get yourself over there, but it's like that movement, the momentum,
Yeah.
make it look like I just jump right on there, or like
Right.
you guys like hop from horse to horse or grab something or
Yeah.
like whatever to make that look like it's
And it
super.
has to look like something that we do all the time, right? Or like, oh yeah, I've done this. I've done it before, even though in that moment I've never done this before in my life.
Gosh.
But within that 2 to 3 minutes, it has to look like I've done this 100 times. So I think that's kind of like the where the technique comes into play. And
Right.
those guys were amazing, and they clearly, they made me look good. I'm so glad that it worked out.
That's amazing. Yeah, because I would have thought you did that for like weeks and weeks and practiced all that. So that's
No,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was more so the horse stuff, and then there was one part where I had to hop over a fence, and the fence was a lot taller than we thought it was gonna be. So
My
that was
God.
one thing. Was like, all right, cool, time to get the hops going.
You're going through the ringer, Trey's going through the ringer.
Yeah,
What's going
yeah.
on?
Hey,
Um,
hey, I loved it. I
I want to
loved
talk
it.
about that episode though, because I feel like that okay, the episode where Larry is almost shot, I think was the
Yeah,
first pivotal moment where I was like, ooh, I could see Trey moving into this kind of ranger world, right? So I
yeah.
think that was like the first moment because there were Trey doesn't even hesitate. It was like, I'm
Nope.
going to save this guy, and we don't know where the shot's coming from. We have no idea who's doing it. And just like, you're crazy. Like, Trey just runs right out, pulling him. He's bleeding, like, like Larry's bleeding. And then you're
Yeah,
like shooting back, and like all this chaos is happening. So that was, I feel like, the pivotal moment of change for me, at least
for
for Trey.
sure.
When we
Yeah,
get to the point where he's doing his test that we don't know, so like we'll
yeah,
jump to
yeah.
that. The whole fact that you're chasing the guys that are stealing horses or
Hmm.
whatever, kind of like disobey and kind of chase them, and then you're like jumping onto the thing that the horses are in, and like it was like
Hmm.
so crazy, the jump between those two. So from the episode where you're dealing with the shootout and staging all of that and figuring all that out,
Yeah.
to we kind of talked about it a little bit, but to the episode where you're on horses and chasing down horse stealers and catching them and getting onto that little trailer on the back and like all of that chaos. What changes for you as an actor in terms of preparation? Do you have to go through anything? Do they teach you certain things? Clearly some of it was last minute, but do they
Yeah,
teach
yeah, yeah.
some things in advance to kind of prep you for like how you should act in this moment? What would someone that wants to be a ranger do? What like those
Hmm.
kind of things? Because those two scenes are very different if you put them side by side.
Very,
You can see Trey's difference in the two of
yeah,
them, how he
big
handled them.
time, big time. By the way, I do have to mention just real quick,
Yeah.
Kobe was my biggest advocate since like season 1 for Trey becoming a Ranger. He was like, he would have conversations with me on the side. He's like, dude, I think you should be a Ranger. This should happen. This was a long time
He
coming.
saw it. He
For
saw it. That's great.
Yeah, he definitely did, and obviously it's poetic that his character is the one who makes it happen. So I love that. But as far as like that change from that shootout to that big episode with the chase, preparation wise, I would say it's like that initial shootout, that was more like military Trey, right? So he had those military instincts. I think that's what makes him a great ranger, and that's clearly why they're like, oh, this guy can do it. He is a trained Marine, even though he was a medic, but he knows how to handle himself as far as like weapons and combat. all of those things. Um, and like I said, the shootouts was more so like the military instincts kicking in, and even the way he walks, the way he carries his firearm, all of that, and it changes. We've had we've had people that prepared us, like as far as like weapons training, how to carry a firearm, like when you're walking into a room, walking out of a room, how to hold it, how to pursue an assailant with a firearm, and it was a little different when it became when it was for a ranger, because like law enforcement, I think they handle that stuff differently than Marines do. So it's more from like a tactical point of view when it was like, the beginning of Trey as a Marine. I think it was more from a tactical point of view. And then now as a law enforcement, there's certain rules and regulations and how to carry a firearm. And when you're behind someone, like, there's scenes where me and Cassie are storming a warehouse, and then, my firearm is pointed down while hers is pointed up because she's ahead of me. All these little details where some people might not notice, but the viewers that are in that world, the viewers that are police officers or Marines, they're going to pick up on those things, and that helps us, and me as an actor, just knowing that. But I've done some things before where I've handled weapons, and that I think that gave me a good foundation. But the people that we have on the show that help with that, they're incredible, and I think that's why I was prepared, because he even walks differently. Trey walks differently as a ranger than he does as regular Trey or Trey from season 1 or season 2. And again, I think it starts with having that hat. That's like putting on a cape. It literally feels like I'm putting on a cape. I got a different aura. I got the boots on. So that helps. I mean, for actors, wardrobe helps a lot, the way you carry yourself. So when I first put on the wardrobe, I just kind of moved around in it, especially the boots, since I had to, break them in. So I think all of those things come into play for sure.
I want to get to the day that you put the outfit on, but before that, really quickly, the
Yeah.
episode where you were like when the kids are missing, and
Hmm.
so where you're in the helicopter. And so I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
nervous too because I was like, oh no, are they gonna make him do that? And he's not gonna be. I wanted Trey to be a ranger so bad. So like I was hoping, I was like every episode, I was like, come on, come on. So that episode
Yeah.
got me nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, oh no, are they gonna make him that? And he's not gonna be a ranger. Because I love seeing you
Hmm.
guys. It's so fun, like seeing all of
Yeah.
you together. But how fun was that? And then were you really repelling from something? Did they have you holding? I feel like they give you all like the crazy. I mean, like, listen, everyone has crazy stuff, but I mean,
Yeah.
like in a helicopter, like coming down on ropes and like putting kids up. You're running. You're learning how to jump on a horse in 2 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you got a lot of crazy. You got guns getting. You're basically like Walker. I mean, like the two of you, I think, kind of go toe to toe pretty much with how much comes at you. But
Right. Right.
that episode was so good.
Oh,
It
thank
was
you.
it was so fantastic. The kids were great in it, but all of the like adults, that's what I was kind of saying, what to Cal, I'm
Yeah.
like, all the adults were so good in being like, we're on top of this. This is serious. We're all
Yeah.
gonna, they all kind of spread out. But your character, it was like the hero moment. And so
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you if they showed you anything. Were you really in the helicopter? How did that kind of all work down? Because it's TV magic. So I'm not
Right.
sure how much you kind of had to do for that. But
Hmm.
also, what did it feel like for you to be the one that kind of saved them, which I
Oh.
thought was so awesome.
Oh, it's still one of my favorite episodes. I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's hard to even pick one, but that one, shooting that was just a rush of adrenaline. It was just so fun. Again, that's another wardrobe thing when we had to put on, the attire for the helicopter and the helmet and everything. It just, I don't know, it has like I don't know, like I'd say like a Tom Cruise vibe to it. Like, Tom Cruise is always doing all that kind of stuff, helicopters, jets, planes, whatever. So it makes you feel larger than life, like shooting something like that and being able to wear that uniform. But as far as like prep, there wasn't much because or at least for me, Trey, because like I've read up on stuff like this and all that, because the thing is that Trey has a history of doing rappelling out of planes. That's why I think one of the nicknames he mentions from his previous, Marine life was Tip Top Trey. So all of this stuff, it's funny. He's a jack of all trades. There's all stuff that he's done before. Same thing like the horses. Trey is the ultimate man. Like I love this character. I want to be this guy, seriously. But that was one of the things where, like, again, even though this isn't my world right now, um, I've done this before. This is nothing for me. This is effortless. So yeah, I would watch the videos of these rescue the helicopter rescue people and just kind of just watch how they carry themselves and their demeanor. That was just, for my own homework, but they did have me actually rappel, not off of, too high. They wanted to make sure that I stayed safe. Everything that they did with me was perfectly safe, but like all the close-up shots, they would make sure that, yeah, all right, cool, I'm rappelling and then I'm falling onto a pad. But I was like, hey guys, I want to do as much as possible. And even being in the plane, we actually didn't get to take off. They shot, our doubles taking off. They wouldn't actually put us up in the air as much as I wanted to. But I mean, they're always looking after our safety, right? So everything that we shot was in the plane and we were on the ground. And then all the emotion, all that stuff was just coming from us. And we would play it as if we were in the air. But as far as the rappelling, like I said, I did that all onto a pad. And then when I finally landed, like I would just kind of shoot me jumping down, landing, and then I turn around for that hero moment where I rush towards Stella. And man, just that moment with her, because like it's one of the first moments you get to see Trey and her. Like it's almost like she was my child, It's like I just rushed to her. That was the mindset that I had. I'm like, I built up this relationship with this girl. Like I was her head soccer coach, and we still have that bond. And I just wanted to make sure she was safe, and I felt like it was my responsibility in that moment. But yeah, that was oh my God, that was such a fun episode to shoot.
It's one of my favorites, I think, from the whole
Yeah,
show, just because I think everybody was so on their A game in that episode
yeah,
because there was so
yeah,
much going on, and
a lot.
it was so good. But it's so
Yeah,
funny that you keep saying, I know that obviously you're not Trey, right? Because Trey's like a different person, but it's just so funny
yes,
that you want to be like him because you are him, and
yes, yeah,
because all the stuff that you're doing is stuff that you're doing. So like you
yeah,
are. So I understand, yes, Trey's a different person. He's not you. Like that's a
right.
character. But the action portion and all these things where you're like, I want to be like that or I want to do that. Just from talking to you and hearing the stuff that you're doing, you are that. So I mean,
Thank you.
you're doing all of it. So I think you are
Yeah.
when you grow up, you are Trey. So
Appreciate
I
that.
think you're okay there because it's so cute
Yeah.
because saying it. I'm like, but he kind of is Trey. Like, I mean, that is you, like doing all of these.
Thank you.
So I mean, that is you.
Right,
But
right. Thank you. Thank
yes,
you.
when you grow up, you are Trey.
Yeah, well, I pretty much, yes, exactly. I'll be Trey 2.0, I guess. I
So
love it.
let's get to the next section. I'm like so
Okay.
excited with you.
I
So
love it.
the outfit. So
Ooh,
I'm picking out like moments. I feel like big moments for Trey here. So
you are. You're picking up some great moments. This one I
they're
really
like
want
my
to dive into.
favorite. So
Mhm.
the outfit. First of all, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most flattering outfit. So I wanted to know if this is just from like a girl's perspective. Is it comfortable? That was just like my first question. Like, is
The,
this a comfortable outfit to wear, like
the
her outfit?
now
The
now which
shirt,
which one in particular?
the one like the
Yeah,
official one that they give you, like the shirt and like those khaki clear pants. Like
yeah.
that looked like it
It
was uncomfortable.
Nope, not at all. Because you know what?
Uncomfortable?
It's our head of wardrobe, MK, Mary Kate. She is incredible, and when it comes to wardrobe now, I think maybe it's because I've been on this show for a while, and I feel comfortable. We're a family. I voice my opinions when it comes to wardrobe.
Okay.
They know I do. So she has been a godsend when it comes to this because it's like, all right, let's find the most comfortable stuff, and she'll figure out ways to make it look, to make it also look a little cool for Trey.
Yeah.
That's on her. She kind of wants Trey to have his own kind of look, even though the Rangers are somewhat uniform, but Trey to stick out a little bit, add Trey's flair, like I like to say.
Yeah.
But the it was very comfortable. Everything that she gives me is very comfortable because I go I go to many, many fittings. We try on many different things and I feel the material. I'm like, oh, this feels comfortable. I can move around in this because that's the thing. I always want to make sure that I'm able to move because who knows, they always do these things ahead of time. So we don't know. Maybe
Right.
I'm going to be running in this episode. Maybe I'll be hopping onto a horse. So for that episode in particular, that was perfectly comfortable. All of that
Yeah.
was pretty stretchy, and yeah, it's
So that's
comfortable.
good. Okay, so that's good.
It's
Because
just the double belt. I'm sorry, it's the double belt.
I
That's the
was gonna
only
wait for
thing.
something. I was like, there's gotta be something, and you're the
Yeah,
second person to say this. So that double belt, because it digs in, right? Like that. This is what I've heard. It's uncomfortable. It's heavy. Digs in. All
but
that kind of
I've only worn it once because I
stuff. Okay.
figured out a way to get out of it.
How'd you get out of it? Because I've been hearing that it
Because
digs in. It's heavy. You kind of hit into it. It hits into
yeah,
things. Like I've heard all
yeah,
sorts of stuff.
Trey doesn't need the double belt because again, this was unintentional. I got out of it, but it's because me and the wardrobe stylist MK, we planted the seed of having a shoulder holster. When I found out towards the end of season 2, again, it wasn't 100% guaranteed, but we're like, oh, I think Trey's about to be a ranger. This was literally as soon as we wrapped season 2, and she already started preparing. She was like, all right, if I can meet you, during the summer, let's look up some different looks of potential ranger Trey. And I was like, great. And then I don't know why, the first thing that popped in my mind was like a shoulder holster. And it's like old school. You remember like Die Hard, like those old school action heroes, like cowboys, they would wear shoulder holsters. They don't really do that anymore nowadays. I guess it is kind of a old school way. But it also popped in my mind because Walker, Texas Ranger back in the day, Trevette, the brother that was on there, that was actually his thing. So I saw that, like I looked up a picture and I was like, you know what, this is paying homage to this man as well. So I sent her a screenshot. I still have it on my phone. Sent her a screenshot. I was like, hey, what do you think of this? The shoulder holster look for Trey, and she loved it. And she spoke with the writers, producers, all those people that make the decisions, like really make the decisions. She spoke with them, and I think this was also part of MK's idea, but a combination of MK and then some of our writers, they came up with a actual backstory for the shoulder holster, which is incredible, and then you see it in the episode.
Oh
But
yeah.
I thought that was amazing that they came up with that storyline, so it wasn't just like here's a shoulder holster, like yeah, I tried this on. It actually came from somewhere, and it comes from Captain James. There's a legacy with it, and it's again the brothers. It was like this first black ranger, like the first black ranger who gave it to Larry, and then now Larry's giving it to me. It was man, that touched me deeply, and again, it was combination of MK and our writers coming up with that part. But I just I know it's just a prop, and it's like part of my wardrobe, but it touches me right here. The fact that like I kind of planted that seed. I was like, hey, this would be cool. And then like I told you, it's a collaboration. If I have an idea, cool. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, whatever. And that was something that I planted, and they ran with it, and it became this character in its own, because it's also has a beautiful stitching of the initials of the initial ranger that wore it, and then Larry, and
Right.
now me. So this shoulder holster has its own character, has its own life, has its own story. And now wearing the shoulder holster, I don't need a double belt because my gun is right here. So
Smart.
having a double belt, it defeats the purpose. You know what? It's
Right.
like, why do I need all these weapons? You technically only need that one firearm, and then somewhere to hold your reserve bullets.
See, like
So
I love that idea that you brought it up, and I love that they made it into like a legacy and how important it was,
yeah,
because it also mimics obviously like the show and where your inspiration
yeah,
came from. I was
yeah,
thinking of it a little more of like a military, because when you're in the
that's
military and
true.
you have kind of all the vests and all the stuff on you, you have stuff all over you, like right, like you have knives here,
Yeah,
things here. So I
yeah,
I
yeah,
loved the story. I loved that whole
yeah.
thing. But when they introduced that, before they kind of told the story, as I'm watching the episode, I went, oh, that makes so much more sense, because he would just be wanting to have access, right? Like right here, like to
Yeah.
kind of grab things, because that's what he's used to. So it's like a melding pot between his background and then a ranger. So that's how I looked at it. And then
I
they gave
love that.
a story to it, which was,
I
I mean,
I love that.
super
I
emotional.
feel like it was all meant to be. It all fits within the character. Another reason why he kind of sticks out and has his own Ranger feel, his own Ranger vibe. Plus, for me, as the actor, I don't know. It just actually it's very comfortable for me to pull out my gun from that shoulder holster now. Like I've become so comfortable with that that having a double belt seemed very awkward and
Weird.
unorthodox for me. Yeah, it's weird. So
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I get that. That's
You don't have to worry
yeah,
about it. I've heard some stories, but you don't have to worry about
yeah.
it. Good for you. Um, it's interesting too. So like that first of all, that episode was so beautifully done and like super
Mm,
emotional, and even like the pin and like just
yeah.
everything they did in that episode was super emotional. But I know that obviously you do, like you said, fittings and all of those kind of things. What did
Mhm.
it feel like though when you walk on set for your first scene, fully head to toe, cowboy hat, boots, in that outfit? What does that feel like? And then how does that change you? And then how does that change Trey?
Oh man, it a mixture of emotions. It was the best feeling ever because like I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I used to daydream about that. You know, even in season one, I'm like, it would be cool to be a ranger. But hey, I'm super grateful for where I'm at right now. But I'm like, it would be nice. And then, you know, just to see it come full circle and I'm actually dripped in just ranger attire, it gave me a rush of energy. Like it really did. And that whole ceremony, the pinning, it makes that stuff feel that much more real. Like it really, like I know it was within the world of Walker in the show, but in real life for Jeff, it felt very similar. Like the two were just, you know, connected. Like I felt like this was my ceremony as well. It's like, all right, I've been upgraded. Yeah, we're a ranger now, baby. So it just I don't know that in that moment I can't tell you the difference between Trey and Jeff. It just all felt like one to me, and I loved it. I just felt so energized and like I was ready to take on the world. And wearing it, like I'm telling you, it feels like you know, like I'm in a Marvel costume almost. That's my, you know, superhero outfit. I know I keep bringing that up, but I'm still a little kid at heart, and it was like, you know, superheroes and cowboys, and like when you have that like uniform that just like signifies something, that's when you go to combat or you go to war or like, all right, we're going to battle now. Boom. I got my sword, I got my shield, let's go. So
Yeah,
that's that feeling for me.
I completely understand that though, because also again, not to like reiterate it, but I do think it's important. The You're like one of the few, black people on the show. So I mean, to
Yeah,
be able to come out and have
yeah,
that moment. So you're having it as a human being because you're walking out,
yeah,
I'm on the show and I'm wearing this and this means something to people and this is an outfit and this is important. But the reference of superhero to me, like my interpretation, and again, I could be completely off, but my
yeah.
interpretation is there weren't that many black superheroes.
No,
So to be
no.
able to come out and be a superhero, because that's what a ranger is,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, I mean,
It's
what is better than, and not only that, but it's also like a cowboy. We all grew up, right? Everyone wants to be like have
yeah,
do like something cool. So it's like you get the cowboy mix and you get the fact that you get to walk out in, you are, I mean, correct, in a superhero outfit as a
yeah,
black man
yeah,
on a TV show.
yeah,
And nobody goes like, nobody goes out of their way other than that honoring, and that
yeah.
honor moment was so beautiful. So like I just don't know what that must have felt like just to walk
And
out.
and again, it's who's pinning me, who's like who's the guy doing it? It's Captain Larry James, right? It's Kobe. So like me and him just have like, you know, it's a subtext where we just look at each other and we're like, yeah, yeah. Look how far we've come. Like we just have that. Like just looking at him, he knows, I know, especially since he was a big advocate since day one. But it's just like, you know, the two brothers and like, yeah, we did it. Here we go. So I mean, it's just all there. It was an incredible moment for me, for sure. And him as well. Like, I mean, he was my biggest fan. Like, he was like, yes, he genuinely loves the scenes where it's like all four of us because it has this new dynamic now. It's like me, him, Walker, Cassie. It's just like he's like, all right, now it feels complete. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And like that, see, and that's so like amazing too, because it's you and Kobe too, which is also cool. Like it's not
yeah,
like just like, like a, not that it would have been like not as effective if it was someone white, but like as a
right,
white person, I could say I'm sure it wouldn't be as effective like
right.
as it is with Kobe.
But
And
that's what I mean.
was
Yeah,
like not only personally going, let's get Jeff in the freaking suit, like let's get him as a ranger, But then you have this beautiful history that comes behind it. You have all these things that align. And then
Yeah.
when you come out as a superhero, it's coming from another guy that looks similar to you, that has the
Yes.
same respect and the same feelings and has the same people looking up to him. And it's like spreading. And it's just like this beautiful thing on the
Yeah.
show. I mean, like,
I'm,
it's almost like you don't know what to say because it's just so big. And like,
yeah.
people might watch the show and they might just like gloss over it and it's fun, it's entertainment, and you love, Trey, and you're really like excited. But for me, like, I almost got choked up watching it because I did get a little choked up, I'm not gonna lie, watching it because it meant so much. And I don't, I've watched TV my whole life and I've interviewed a lot of people and it's not common. So like to see something like that was like huge for me to watch as someone that watches television. So I cannot imagine for you as Jeff and for
Yeah.
Kobe what that meant for you guys, for you
I
personally and for your characters.
I gotta tell you, I thank you for thank you for actually noticing that because I mean, like you said, plenty of people won't. They're just like, oh yeah, this is great. But to notice those, like, just that moment between me and this man, me and this other brother, the two brothers on the show, I thank you again for noticing that because yes, it could have easily been Walker. They could have figured out a way to do that, which again, it'd be amazing. It'd be great. Like such an honorable, like, thing to do that I could finally, become a Ranger. But it means something completely different when it's coming from Larry, Captain Larry James, and coming from Kobe. So it's amazing. Thank you for noticing that because it's all
I
those
did.
feelings were
Like I was
there. Trust
emotional.
me,
I got
all
emotional.
those feelings were there. They were
Yeah.
definitely there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get to, I think, the latest Trey move that we're in. I have a feeling you know where I'm going here.
Oh yeah.
Gray flag.
I
What? Okay.
love it.
So you're trying to stress me out. I episodes early. So what sucks is like when you get them early, and like this because you're filming early, so you're getting, you're doing it even earlier than when I'm seeing it.
Right.
We can't share it, right? So like I can't
Yeah.
talk to anybody and be like, oh, right? And then I can't see people's reactions. So I'm just like waiting. So when everything was first going down, I was like, oh no, he's fired. Like, what's going on? And then I'm like freaking out. And I can't like go, oh my God, did you see this? Like, so I'm waiting for the episode to
Yeah.
air. And I literally panicked, thinking like you were fired. And like, how could they not get you back? And like, what's going on? And then I started thinking, like, that's so not fair that like Walker like would have the privilege that he could do whatever he wants. That's where I went. I'm not gonna lie. That he could have the privilege and he could go because he was like, I've been there a bunch of times and it's been fine. And then Cassie's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I've had it. And it's been fine. And then Trey goes and he's fired. And I'm like, what the frick is going on? Like, I'm like, what? So first of all, I freaked out. And then when it's revealed that you're like undercover, I'm like, oh Lord. Now we're going somewhere completely different. So
Yeah.
when you're reading that script, so when you read that you get fired,
Mhm.
was it I'm trying to remember if it was in that moment. Did you know that you were heading into an undercover position at that point?
Yes, I
Okay, so
did.
you
I did
knew.
because
Okay. I feel
trust
like
me,
we're
that would
trying
have
to
been
scare you.
that would have been like the second meltdown, like the first one, like we talked
That's what
about
I'm
before.
saying.
And then this one, like, wait, huh? I've only been a Ranger for like 4 episodes.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Because I'm going, this poor guy is like, he
Yeah,
loses the girlfriend. Like, do I have a job? And then they're like, oh,
yeah,
yeah, you're fired. And you're like, what's
yeah,
going on? So that they're
yeah.
really like putting you through it. So, okay. So you knew. So that's good. What did you think about the fact that you were the one chosen to go undercover? And what has that experience been like? Because you're in a completely different outfit, you're dealing with completely different people, and you're dealing with bad people.
Oh yeah.
And I want to talk about Lana, but we'll get there because you're still Trey. So,
Yeah.
but what is that like, and how do you do that as an actor too? Like micromanage in your brain, like I'm a good person. I'm still showing on camera I'm a good person, but I also have to be like a quote bad person
That
because they
person.
need to buy that I'm trying to get into all of this.
Yeah.
So that's like a lot to like kind of
Yeah,
like
it
to
is.
do. So how did you work that out? Because it makes it look so easy. Like you just like walk on and like, doing whatever they want you to do. You're jumping in an elevator, trying to do things. But how do you do that yourself? Like how do you like kind of like break all of that down?
I mean, it it was a lot. And I love that for an actor, that's just, it's part of our dream. The more they give us, the more work we have to do, right? We constantly want to be challenged. And they definitely gave me a lot for this season to work on with Gray Flag. It was great because I knew ahead of time, like I said, which that helped out a lot. But once it came time for me to become like, oh yeah, the quote unquote bad guy, like I'm affiliated with them now, and sell the whole ruse. Um, for me, I just kind of had to like get into that mind frame of like, okay, what are these people trying to do? Like, what's their mission statement? What is it about? Like, get in the mindset of like one of these, I don't know, quote unquote terrorists or whatever you want to call them. Like, I kind of had to get in that mindset a little bit, which again, that's all in the process of an actor. Like, I want to prepare, and try to embody this guy as much as possible, but then still keep like the sincerity and all that of Trey. And I think having Lana there helped a lot because I think spot on. He could see that this woman, she's not one of them for real. Like I'm not gonna say when we initially met, but very quickly he could tell like, wait, you're not really one of them. So it's not like he had feelings for her, but he had sympathy for her. So it was like, it gave me some stuff to play with as an actor. So I had to have that sympathy there as well. I had to look out for her. She's just been shot, and now it's kind of like on my watch, and I have to protect this girl. Like she's not meant for this life. She can't handle this life. And who knows, maybe I can't, but I mean, I have gone through the trenches like as a Marine. So like, I know these type of guys, like, I can deal with that, I know what I signed up for. So it was just a lot for me to play with, and I loved it, especially like the stuff in the elevator, all that. It just felt like Mission Impossible, baby. That's literally like, I felt like I was in that world because it was
It was
all
it was
covert, right?
amazing.
Like I was acting within acting, especially playing opposite the Gray Flag leader. I don't want to give out any spoilers, but that was one of the most fun scenes that I've had, was playing opposite him, because it's kind of like one of those things where like, wow, I know exactly who you are. This is crazy, and right now you think I'm someone who I'm not, but maybe who I. It was all these different. It was like a mind game. Like he was kind of like sussing me out, and I'm kind of sussing him out. I'm like, this is crazy. You're the leader of Gray Flag right now, and it's like, but yeah, you know what? Forget the Rangers. I'm not a fan of the Rangers now either. Like they like it was a lot going on, man.
There was so much
I
going on,
loved
and
it.
you did such a great job of keeping Trey, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's, you can get lost. Like you can
yeah.
go undercover and then be like, go too far, right? Because you want
Right,
to do it and be believable and lose
right.
who you are. I do think a lot of it did have to do with helping Lana out and getting her out
Yeah,
and stuff like that. But in that scene, I felt so bad for Trey
yeah.
because he gets her out, which is like a success, right? And it was almost like a flag to
Mhm.
get help, right? Because he
Yeah,
gives her like a secret kind of code that Cassie
yeah,
will know when she gets there. But he loses a guy. And now
yeah.
the guy that he loses is not necessarily a good person, but it's still
Right.
a person. And with
Yeah.
Trey, he seems to be the kind of guy that like it's irrelevant. Like I think you would rather have seen him arrested versus getting shot.
One
So
thousand percent.
what was that like for you too? Because you have to, it's hard because that's such a non-Trey thing. So like
Yeah.
how do you make that work? Because when you see like when you see Trey talking later, they're like, what happened? How does this happen? How did she get away? And the story he makes up makes sense. But
Yeah.
then what about the guy that gets shot? I tried to help him. But then when they cut to you,
Hmm.
Trey doesn't. He has
Yeah.
his hands on it. And then because the guy says like something along the lines of like, I know you, or like I know what you did, or I saw whatever. When like I'm paraphrasing, but when he does that, you raise your hands. And by
Yeah.
doing that, you know he's gonna die. So
Yeah.
how does that fall into Trey's future? Because I can't imagine that being super easy. But then at the same time, I know he can compartmentalize with like the military and all the stuff that he's been through. But I've never seen Trey let somebody just die. So like,
I
what was
know.
that like? And how is
I
that going to affect him?
Oh, it's definitely going to affect him for sure. It's I'm not saying PTSD, but it is something quite traumatic because I mean, he has morals, right? Like that's not what he does. You brought it up perfectly. He'd much rather arrest every single one of those guys in Great Flag than see any one of them die. And in that particular moment, Trey just knows how to think quickly on his feet, and he has to compartmentalize in the moment, right? We'll deal with all that other stuff later. But right now, I gotta do what I gotta do. And in that moment, he had to make the quick decision because I mean his cover would have been broken. So it was kind of like the greater good type thing. In that moment, he did not want to let this man die, but the fact that his cover was about to be broken, he was like, hey, it is what it is. He may not have fired the shot, but it's like, all right, if I let this man live, clearly he's going to rat me out. So in the moment, he just had to let him slip away and then come up with a quick lie. Well, yeah, it is a lie, but he kind of had to beat around the bush a little bit. And it's another great moment when the supervisor is interrogating him because, yes, the Trey is still Trey, but I think he had to sell the ruse in the moment where he completely disregards Lana. So it's like they're asking about Lana, right? I'm the one who actually made sure that she escaped. But it's like he had to play the game of, oh yeah, now, she's I wish I actually didn't let her live, or whatever the actual line was. Like now the lines are out of my head. But it was a quick moment where it was
Yeah.
fun for me to shoot because it had to be almost like a villainous moment where it's like, I wish I let her bleed out, or I wish I let her die. These are things that Trey normally wouldn't say, but in the moment he had to come up with something that was completely opposite of Trey. That's I think how I had to for me how to play it. Oh, what is opposite of Trey? Everything that I'm saying right now, what is completely opposite of who this guy is? And say, oh, this is this. So that's the lie. That's the ruse.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's so hard to do, like as a
yeah,
human, let alone
yeah,
as someone that's like an actor and a human and playing someone
yeah.
and do,
It's like a
so it's like
sociopath. He borderline sociopath to do stuff like that,
and well, yeah, it's so much to put on you and you do it
Yeah.
so well. And like I said, Trey bleeds through the whole
Thank
time.
you.
Like you can see Trey the whole time. You could see the reasons why Trey's saying certain things. So like that scene that you're mentioning, and again, it's I could be watching it crazy, but they kept you on a close shot, which I thought
Yeah.
was so good, where it was just your face.
Hmm.
Because when he's answering that and you're like, I would like, yeah, like what like he says something like that. Like I wish like, I killed her when I had the chance, or if I knew I would have let her die. Like back when she had gotten shot, when we kind of first met her on the show.
Yeah.
So they kept you in a tight shot on that. And I thought
Yeah.
that that was such a brilliant move on whoever was directing it because
Steve
it
Robin.
shy
he's
away,
he's the man. He's the
but it
man.
doesn't shy away from you. It doesn't hide it. It doesn't pull away. Like we're literally in your face
Yeah.
as you're saying it. So there's nothing to hide. And like you're kind of like all on the line to convince this guy,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I had nothing to do with it. And if I knew what she was going to do, I would have stopped her, even though you had helped her. So
Yeah.
as an actor, when the shot's like right here in your face and you're like talking and to make that believable but still not come off as someone we don't like
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
hard, and you did that. So like I don't like, to me it like just boggles my mind how that process works, because it's like I know how close that camera was to your face, and to keep that shot and to be so nonchalant about it and to be like, yeah, I would have like let her go, blah blah. But to still be Trey, like, and you can
Yeah.
almost kind of see it in his eyes that like your eyes are still showing that there's Trey there, like like so
Oh,
you don't lose him, you know.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know how you do that. You make it look
I
so easy, but it's like 12, you're doing like 55 things at once and juggling and you know what I mean? Like you're doing so much. And I don't know if people understand like the amount of hours, and I know how many takes that takes to
yeah.
do, and how many
Yeah.
different angles, and how many different shots, and how many different things you're doing. The amount of time and to not get worn down for that shot to make it look like you did it one time. That's what you said. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so much going on. How do you do this? Because it's literally like you're juggling 55 things at once.
I'm gonna be honest, like in the moment, I'm right there with you. I'm like, how am I doing this? How do I do it? But I think as an actor, like I mean, we study, we put in all this preparation, all this work, and like, work with the acting coaches. And it's moments like that where I'm like, man, my acting coach was right. Trust the process. Like, do all the preparation that you need to do the work, and then when it comes time, let it go. You know, just literally let it go and trust that the work is there. Because even in the moment, I'm telling you, like leading up to it, I think before they yell action, I'm always in my head. I'm like, do I even know my lines? Am I like I like internally? I still get nervous. It's weird. As long as I've been doing this, especially with these guys on the show, I think I'm always slightly nervous up until the point they say action. I think that's when I do kind of let it go, and I'm like, hey, all right, let's do this. And then I'm going to trust the director, especially we have a great group of directors, and I think you know, some of my best work shines out when I'm working with certain directors because like I like to play. So if a director gives me a note, I'm like, oh, I'll run with it. I love that because that's a different point of view, right? So it gives me something to play. And yeah, just in moments like that, it's literally just trusting yourself and then also trusting the director. And letting the work speak for itself. I mean, yeah, yeah. I'm so good because now listening to you, break that down, I'm like, wow, you saw all that? Because in my mind, sometimes I'm like, is that going to translate? Are people going to see all these different thoughts and things going on? Am I still Trey in this moment, or am I just some villainous asshole? Which it's not the
No, I
case.
don't.
It's
And that's why I'm like, how did you do that? Because like your eyes, you know what it was? It was like you kept your eyes were soft. You kept them soft. I don't know
yeah,
how you did it, but you kept them soft. And by keeping them soft, although like your face from your eyes down was like
yeah,
very tense and what's coming
yeah,
out is like aggressive, the eyes weren't. And like that's why I was like, I see Trey. Like, and I know that he's not saying this to be a dick. He's saying this
yeah,
because he needs to save himself. And like, and that's why I don't think anybody, and I don't think anywhere on the internet someone would be like, "Oh, I'm so mad at him," because it's not, it doesn't come off that
right,
way because we see Trey. I don't know,
right.
how to do it. But that's what I saw. It was like your eyes stayed the same, and it was like the rest of the face kind of acted it out in that tight shot, and like that's how
Awesome.
I saw it. So you're
That's
doing
part of the trick. That's part of the trick. It's definitely in the eyes for sure. It's like, the intent might be there where it's like, all right, I got to try and sell this. But yeah, it all speaks through the eyes. You know what I mean? I think the intent will be there. The overall, it's like, hey, I'm still the same guy. I want you to know that. But I'm saying these words that contradict with my eyes and showing you, I don't know, all
you.
these little tricks. But thank you for noticing.
Oh my gosh,
Thank
like
you.
it's you're doing such a good job on the show. I want to
Thank
get
you.
to the last thing we saw. So
Yeah.
episode 13 ends.
Oh,
So
I know. I know.
first of
Oh my
all,
God.
like I can't wait to discuss this with Jared. I don't know if it's a little payback because there was a supernatural little crossover here, and he wasn't that great on supernatural. He did have some redeeming category, but I sort of suspected him. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, I feel like this guy's like too chummy and nice, and like he
Yeah.
broke up with Cassie and he's still around, and that's kind of weird. But then I started wavering because I'm like, well, he's really nice to like the Walker family, and why would you be so
Hmm.
invested if you're trying to kill him and what's going on? But then maybe it is the guy. Like I was all over the place, but I was leaning towards what is it, Kevin, right? So I was leaning towards
Yeah,
him.
Kevin.
So I like, and I never thought that it was the military guy, but then Coop, I never thought it was Coop, and then I got confused a little bit. You guys try to throw me off because Coop is there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what's going on? That final 2 minutes where like the whole
Woo.
team is on a hill watching. I mean, well, Walker's handcuffed to a table, Coop's somewhere, and I think we all are pretty confident that he's probably not involved, and he knows, but he's doing something. I feel like maybe he's actively doing something. So
Right.
that's what it seems like that and I feel like he um handcuffed him to a table for a reason, just to keep him out of whatever his plan is, because he says multiple times in the episode, I was supposed to be there for you. Like I was the one in charge of watching you guys. So I just felt like that was like some sort of fatherly thing. And then Walker can't shoot him. So he's stuck at a table. You got the rest of the crew on top of a mountain or hill kind of hiding, watching.
Yeah.
You see this car pull up. It could not have been more dramatic. Like you see this
Oh
car pull up,
yeah.
and I'm like biting my nails, and I'm going, who is it? Tell me that it's Kevin. I'm like, it's got to be Kevin. I'm like, it's got to. And then the door opens, and I was like, and then right away they shoot to you, and Trey's face is like, holy fuck, like Kevin. But like your face was like my face when I was watching, and I was like, oh my god, it is true, it is him. And but then I got super concerned because he knows you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like
Yeah.
he didn't know who you were. So then I was like, oh no. So then now I'm panicking again. And I'm going, oh my God, can they please leave Trey the freak alone? Because I'm like always worried for you. And then he calls you forward. And
Yeah.
that's when you have to make it believable. And he goes, well, welcome to our side. And then you guys shake hands.
Right.
So were you shocked, or did you know that it was ultimately going to be him?
There was by that time, by the time we're filming that whole episode, yeah, I knew,
Right,
you
because
know,
you
I
had
was
the
gonna.
script. But were you
But
making guesses before then?
when I first worked with him, no, I did not know. I did not know that he was going to be the leader of Great Flag. Like, well, initially
Okay.
when we started working with Kevin, with the actor Jake, I didn't know. There was a certain point where we did. I think the more once I started shooting the Great Flag stuff, obviously that's where it came about. But funny enough, quick little story when I like Trey first meets Kevin like on screen because obviously prior they met at a mayor's event or something like that. But it's in the HQ with Cassie and Trey, and then me and him kind of like dap each other up like, oh, what's going on, my man? And my aunt was actually there for that. She also played in the background. They captured a shot of her, and this was her first time being on a set. My aunt is Haitian, and she was just, oh my God, she was on cloud nine, just being on a set. So she was just smiling ear to ear. She was amazing, and it was
Was
great
all the
having her there.
French coming out?
A little bit, yeah, of course, yeah, the Creole,
I have
all
a
of that.
friend that's a Haitian. Anytime, like I bring her anywhere, it's all of a sudden she's just the French. She starts, and I'm like, wait, I don't know.
Man, no,
How
she
totally.
was great. She was great. Speaks obviously French, Creole fluently, and English as well,
I
perfectly.
know it's
So
amazing. It's such an amazing
it
place to live. Just
super
like,
talented because like I speak Creole fluently, like the
oh
native tongue.
wow,
The
okay.
second language is French, but I never spent time working on my French. I wish I did. Maybe I should. But again, having her on set, amazing. I
So
got
cool.
to tell you, she was as soon as she met the character Kevin, like how did she say it? I'm paraphrasing, but she's like, "Oh, he looks like one of those slick guys, but he's a silent killer." She said he was a silent killer. This is actually before I even knew that he was, essentially playing like one of our resident villains
They
for
know.
the season.
These aunties
But
know. They know.
she just said that out of after seeing him, perform the scene a few times, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll see. And I remember I had to call her up like once like, actually not once I found out, but once he was revealed. I didn't want to ruin anything. She like you, she'll watch the episode, she'll give me feedback, she'll break it down and everything every Thursday. So I don't ruin anything for her. But me and her spoke about it afterwards, and she was dying laughing because I was like, I wanted to tell you so bad that you were the first person to call it out. It's like you were in the writer's room or something. It was crazy. But to go back in that moment where Trey finds out, it's nerve wracking because it's like, oh, oh shit. Like, does he suspect me? Does he know? It's like I was literally a ranger like last week, a week ago. And what's going on through his mind. So when he calls me up and I'm walking forward, it's like I don't know what's gonna happen in this moment. Like maybe he already knows that I'm undercover. I'm pretty sure, that character, Kevin, like he has the resources. He might know. Maybe some information leaked, you know. So a lot of things are going in my mind, which was perfect for me to play in that moment. And again, as soon as he pulls his hand out, it's still there's a reservation there, and it's like, all right, well, we're in here. Yeah, thank you. Sure, well, I'm rocking with you, but this is crazy that you're the leader of Great Flag. You asshole! I can't believe I told Cassie to date your ass. Like, are you kidding me?
I
Yeah,
know. Well, I felt so bad because they show Cassie when she's looking in the like in the binoculars,
yeah,
and she can't even like talk. And I'm like, this
yeah.
poor girl, like, has no luck with men. I need to help her out. No luck with men. And I'm like, I feel terrible for her. And she's just
Yeah,
like shocked. And
yeah,
then like
yeah.
everyone else is kind of shocked. And then this is what makes you guys so good too. And Jake's great at this because I had covered him on Supernatural when he was on. He is great
He's
at.
phenomenal in this character.
Yes,
Phenomenal.
like the problem is that he's so good at being ambiguous. So like you can't
Yes,
tell like which way
yeah,
he's like floating the boat. So like that's why I went back and forth a little bit. But like I know Jake, so I'm going, he's got to be the one. Like it's got to be him. So like I was leaning towards it only because like I've known, you know, and I've interviewed them for so long. But I was like, I think it's him. But when you guys shook hands, I'm still like, I don't know. Like, does he know? Does he not know? Is he just shaking hands to like get it to like, you know, everyone to believe everything? You're
Yep.
shaking hands to make him believe it. So like, does he really? I don't know. Like, I didn't feel like he trusted you. Like, I think he doesn't. That's like my personal opinion from watching that episode. I was like, I don't think he trusts him, but I think he's making him think he does. So he
Right.
calls Trey out to come up and shake hands. And I think Trey's like, what do I do with this? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what the hell to do. So like, I'm just gonna, like you said, I'm gonna roll with it. I'm just gonna roll
Yeah.
with it, but I don't know what this means. Like, where are we
Exactly.
going to? Like, is he gonna come
Facts.
attack you or whatever? And I imagine that then puts like a feeling of someone on your back, right? Because it's like,
Target.
what do you
Target on my
trust?
back.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you know? What is he
Yeah.
gonna do? That kind of thing. And then also
1000%.
how does that end up affecting Walker? I mean, this guy's in their family. I mean, he's hanging out with their
Yeah.
kids. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like serious. I mean, it's one thing if it's
Yeah.
like all you guys dealing with something and handling. This is like the first like real person that was like truly invested in the family. I mean, there's been other people that were in the family that kind of like were bad people that throughout the show, but this was the
For
one
sure.
guy that was like that dated somebody that like hung out with the kids, that got investment for the rescue, the horse ride. I mean, above and beyond. And then not only that, it killed me because like what was even like worse is when August, you know, even has a conversation with Abilene and it's like, you need to
Yeah.
trust this guy. Like he's really cool. He's helping us out. You could be intimidating. And she even lets her guard down a little bit to kind of welcome it. Now she still has a twang to her little sass when she walks away. So
Oh
I don't
yeah.
fully like buys it either. But so much of them have gone out of their way, which then gets me nervous. So
Yeah.
it's like, now what? So I don't
Yeah.
know what you can tease. I swear I won't try to get you in trouble, but
Right. Right.
what can you tease about what's to come? So I'll help you out with this at least. So Kale was the most recent I interviewed from the show from all of you
Okay.
guys. So Kale said there's a lot of heart. That's what he said that he teased. He's like, there's a lot of heart. And then I was like kind of like poking a little bit and we got a little more from it, but like generically, like there's a lot of heart, there's a lot more to come in terms of that. There's a lot of emotional stuff. And I was like, okay.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was some of his teasing. So I'll give you a little bit of a break so you don't get in trouble.
I
But
appreciate that.
what can you, because and again, I kind of have to be careful too, because I was like, I can't say what I know. So what can you tease about or to fans about what we're going to see? Because we have we have a little bit left, quite a bit left. So like, what are we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we're
Yeah. But
episode 13,
we're at
so
13. Yeah.
we have quite a bit
Yeah.
left. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen? What's going on?
What for this Thursday's episode, basically, mainly, or do you just mean in
Oh no, I'm
general?
trying. Well,
For
give me
the
both. Give me both. The people
okay,
want it all.
okay,
We want it all.
okay.
Let's go.
I
So
I,
this,
lo- I
so you could for this Thursday, you could give it away because I won't have this out till after Thursday. So for this Thursday,
oh
you
okay,
can give that
perfect.
away, and then you can give us a hint for
First of all, I love how Kale went with heart because that's yeah that sums it up pretty well, I would have to say. But for Thursday,
what was
I
your
would
favorite
say,
part? This
man,
is
there's
nutty.
this this was a fun episode, man. And in my head, it's also with the director Richard Speight, who's that's my guy. Oh my God, I love Richard. And David James wrote this episode. Another one of my guys. These two together. It was just incredible. They set this episode up perfectly for Trey. Um, and the theme song of the episode was just that Mission Impossible theme song that dun dun
Mhm.
dun dun dun
I
dun dun dun. dun. Oh man,
am
it,
so
it was
excited.
just in my head the whole time
This
because I
is
mean
such a big episode for Trey.
yeah because I mean it's pretty much wraps things up with a gray flag, but I mean it was tough, dealing with all that. Like I mean, just sneaking into Kevin's office, like that whole thing was just like, I don't know who's watching. I don't know if he's setting me up. What'd you say?
I was having a heart attack during
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
And like while you were doing it, I kept like looking at the time because I'm going like this and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like a minute. He's like 2 minutes in. I'm like, is someone gonna walk in? What's going on? What can he find in there? I was like freaking out. I was having a heart attack.
I'm not gonna lie to you. As an actor, it was oh my God, it was so fulfilling for me because I was just naturally sweating. Like, yes, we have our makeup and hair that will come over and spritz me, but like very quickly I was like, guys, I don't need you. It was just like I was sweating because like space, like, all right, let's go. We're doing this, we're doing that. I'm coming in there. And then it just became very real in the moment to me because it's like, I'm like, all right, cool. Nobody's here, nobody's looking at me there. I gotta get in here quickly. And then, I'm trying to dig into the drawer. Then I hear voices. I'm like, oh my God, I have the knife. And it was like a thing where I was like, all right, cool. I don't know how far they're gonna come in. And in the moment, it's like, what would you realistically do, right? I'd have to defend myself if these guys come in here, and I got to do it quickly and silently. So it was just all these things that I got to play with. And like when you watch it, it's going, but it's like my heart was racing. So there's a lot of that, and even in the van with those guys, it's like, ooh.
This was like a freight train episode, and I'm so happy Richard did it because Richard's like a like that kind of guy, and he's so energetic and like on it. So I could feel it when I saw it because I was like, this is like bam, 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 bam. Like it was like non-stop.
Yeah.
The only time I could breathe, and like on screeners, we don't get commercials, but it goes like black for a second before like it comes back for the mock like commercials that they're gonna put in. And like when it went black, I would like pause it for a second. And I was like, all right, like he just got out of there. Nobody came in. Nobody killed him. We're good.
Yep.
The office. What's going on with this van? Now he's taking. What's happening? What is everybody doing? So it's like I kept like taking pauses during it. But this is like, I'm so happy, and I wanted you to talk about this episode because this is so big for Trey. This is like, I think it's probably the biggest episode I would assume, like for the season from what I've seen.
Definitely.
Without giving anything away, but I think this is like one of the biggest. I mean, there's so much on you. On this
shooting it felt that way. Like I said, that's why it doesn't feel too far removed from Mission Impossible. I had my moment where we're doing all that stuff, and then like the action sequence of it was just incredible because I mean, like I said, I live for this stuff, right? Like, I make sure I train, I'm physically fit. So like there's certain things I can do. I'm literally not ever going to do Tom Cruise-esque type things. I will not be jumping from buildings for real.
Like not real.
I mean, I got 3 kids. Like I keep my feet, relatively on the ground. I won't be doing none of that. Yeah. But the stuff that I can do combat wise and handling, fake weapons, I love all of that. And the stunt coordinators, man, shout out to those guys because this is another situation. I never actually got a chance to choreograph or rehearse the actual quick, like, combat scene where, the fighting where I disarm him, I grab the gun, turn around, shoot, the assailant on the back. Like we just did all that stuff on the spot on the day.
Okay. And, so when an Armageddon hits, I need your cell phone number. What the what the hell? Oh my God. Okay. I need your cell number. We'll get that when we stop recording because I need you when there's like an apocalypse time. You're like, yeah, so by the way, in like 3 minutes, I learned how to hop on a horse. No big deal. And then later, in like 2 minutes, I learned how to like disarm a guy, flip the gun around, and then take control. Yeah.
I mean,
I'll be getting that number later, but go ahead.
These are things that generally, like, yes, we might have like a rehearsal, a quick rehearsal where we're able to go over these things and like prepare it and work on it, right? Which is great. But I at first I was like, wait, we didn't rehearse none of this, guys. That was my initial thought when I first saw the whole thing. I was like, oh, we're gonna do this now. And I was like, I want to do all of that. They were like, all right, let me figure out a way to, let's make it easier or let's take this away. I was like, no, I want all of that. And I think it made it that much more organic too, because it was just right there on the spot. But I mean, again, it wasn't right there on the spot where we just started filming. We did rehearse this quite a few with the stunt coordinators, the stunt doubles, everything. And got it to the point where it felt comfortable.
You're giving yourself way too much credit because when you say rehearsal, when people work on a television show and and there's a fighting scene where they like, so let me give you like some props here. When there's a fighting scene or a racing scene or whatever, even a freaking punch, if you're just punching one guy in one scene, there's rehearsal that would go on for like hours. Like, so
for sure.
you could literally have one scene where you're punching one guy. And you
Yep.
do everything from where's the camera going to be? How's it going to look real? Where's it going
Exactly.
to go? You have the stunt coordinator. How is everybody safe? Everybody's always worried about insurance. Like nobody wants to
Yep.
get injured, right? So like you have all
For
those issues.
sure.
You're going through all that. So let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
You doing this in a very
Yeah.
short period of time is giving yourself way you're like, yeah, well, but we did it a couple of times. But that's like extreme. Like I don't think so. For people listening, he's giving himself way too little credit here. And even like fight scenes, sometimes on shows, they will spend a couple days like off
Yeah.
time, when you're not filming and they don't
For
need you
sure.
in, you're off on the side with the stunt and doing all that stuff. So just to interrupt you for a second, because that's the stuff that you're doing is not normal. So the fact that they show it to you and you did it a couple times, I want to give you your props because people don't know that. They might listen to
Thank you.
oh, that's normal. That ain't normal.
Thank you.
That's not
Thank
normal.
you.
So
Again,
props to you because I mean it came out amazing. Again, I wouldn't have,
thank you.
but
Thank you.
I just had to clarify that.
I appreciate you clarifying that. I think it's I'm thankful for just because of the training I have. Like Muay Thai, boxing. Again, none of I can't say any of that like makes it it's effortless now, super easy because it's a difference. That's why I credit these stunt coordinators and stuntmen so much because it's a dance actually. It's literally a dance and it's an art. It's an art form that doesn't get enough credit in my opinion. Those guys are just they're the real heroes. Like the fact that they do these things, but like doing it, it's like oh my god, this is literally like the tango of it, especially because it's just two of us. And yeah, we broke it down, man, and it was fun and it was super organic doing that. That was like my baby because it was something that was just done right on the spot. And I was like, hey guys, they could have put in my stunt double, possibly, but I don't want any of that. I'm like, hey, as much as possible, like I want to be able to do this. I'm here for it. I love it. And they did. The director, Richard Spate, he texted me, I think after, the final edits were done. He was like, that's all you, buddy. I was like, let's go. I was so hyped because I mean, it's just work that we put in, and again, I will credit my stuntman, till the day I die. I love those guys, especially the ones that we have on the show. And they make me look good, as much as a lot of that is coming from me, but just them showing me the different movements and making sure that I'm comfortable with it. I credit them. But a lot of it is, yeah, I think because I'm not too, those movements aren't too foreign for me. Like more, there's some that might be, but like stringing them together, I think that's really the difficulty is like, because I'm not sitting there disarming somebody with a weapon, spinning around and shooting somebody in everyday life. So adding the weapon gives a different effect. And it's all fun, man. I love it. And
And what was it
yeah.
like kind of the dissolution of Gray Flag? Because that like I mean it's really kind of at its end in
Yeah.
this week's episode.
It it is. Well, yeah, it is. Gray
It
Flag
is
is. I
like
mean,
yeah,
Kevin is another
yeah, that's
situation.
another story.
Yeah.
That's
So
another
it's
story.
yeah, that's a completely other story. So that part, I mean, it's twofold. Yeah, having being done with Grave, especially for Trey, man, dark times.
Right.
He was in that. He was really in that world, and he couldn't really communicate with the outside world. Only chance that he had was that phone, right, where he sent out that message. But other than that, I haven't been able to communicate with Cassie Walker, Captain James, and being finally being done with that was just like you said, a breath of fresh air. That was the first time he was able to breathe. But yet at the same time, I mean, you saw it. We went out with a bang. I was like, oh no. We went from one extreme to another.
Another.
And another, and then that's a whole nother animal right there. So yes, Gray Flag is done, but it's like, wait, what? We've opened up a whole can of worms. And again, whose fault is that? At least Trey blames himself, correct? You saw the notepad. That's like, wait a minute. Oh my God, he did figure me out, but it was that. He didn't, he maybe he was on to me before, but that solidified it, that which was a great moment where like, I mean, they're just having that book there and it's like, the weights and everything. It was like, wow, he got me. That was like a checkmate move from Kevin. And he's a slap in the face to me. He's like, now the next series of events that happen, I just want you to know that's on you. This is your fault. And I'm like, wow. So it's still a lot for Trey.
I don't I know that Trey's gonna take that on, But I
Yes.
do feel like in the very beginning when this whole thing started, and again, it could be like just me because I'm being crazy, but
Yeah.
in the episode where Walker and Cassie are supposed to be delivering this unknown box and then it's
Hmm.
beeping and they open it. In that episode, and again, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but in that episode, they mention something about Pandora's box. Like if we open
Yeah.
this Pandora's box, and are we gonna start getting into like all sorts of stuff? So I was like, this is not going to end easy one way or the other.
Hmm.
And is this going to open Pandora's box? And it did. So, like, now I don't necessarily blame Trey on that. Like, yes, I saw like the notebook and all the stuff that was written out, and kind of like the FU message that was like left, kind of be like, yeah, gotcha. But
Yeah.
like, it also didn't originate from you. It didn't start from you. And a lot of the stuff kind of started, not to blame Walker, but kind of started from Walker and a little bit of everybody. Cassie, and she was like almost the original one to really kind of bring in this idea too. So it's like it did open Pandora's box in a way. And I wasn't
Yeah.
sure when I was rewatching episodes and picking things out if that was put in there on purpose, that moment, because that was like the first evidence that they were like taking or not. But it was interesting that that's the term they used. And then when I saw that episode, to see it go from like, oh, thank God, and then you're like, oh no, like, and it went like from one to the other. Then I went, maybe that was their hint, was like, by getting
Hmm.
through this, we're just going worse now. Like we're just heading
Yeah.
down further. But that's how like I
You
like interpret it.
I love the way you break these things that man, writers need to talk to you. I mean, we need to be on our toes at all times now that I know that you're around,
I was
breaking down every single detail. That's phenomenal,
But that's
honestly.
like that's what I just put together. Like I just remembered that and saying that, and I was just like, hmm.
Yeah,
So, but I don't blame Trey. I think I'm not sure
thank
when
you.
he figured it out either. I couldn't tell. Like, they don't really give you any of that to really know for sure when he really
Yeah,
knew. But
yeah,
leaving a note like that is a pretty bold move, and it's a pretty bold move against a bunch of Rangers that are going to be gunning, especially for their own, and this guy that's
right.
coming out of being undercover, and then all this worse stuff that's going on. So I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, the Pandora's box thing really got me with that episode, because that was the first real stuff that they were like, the first like tangible
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
related to this group. And then like they make a comment like that, and I was like, oh no. So that's like what I related to for this episode. But I cannot wait for people to see it. They're gonna be so excited because
Oh
it's
my
so
God,
like
same here,
it's just crazy. But
same
what
here.
can
It
you
makes you think. It's like, what else can happen after this? But
I
I
know, because
mean,
it's like, how much, but I think so much
yeah.
every Walker episode. I'm like, how much, where can we go from here? How can it get
How are we
crazier?
gonna top this?
Yes, and it
Yeah,
just keeps doing it
yeah.
and doing it and doing it. What can you tease? So we can talk about that episode because it will air before I put this out. But what can you
Yep.
tease for the rest of the season? Because there's a lot. There's a lot
Yes.
that's on. So there's a lot with Trey, there's a lot with all of the characters.
Yeah.
There's, I think this is safe to say, the
Hmm.
aftermath of everything that
Yeah.
happened. And then what do we do? And then there's also, crimes that you guys have to take care of and regular things that are going on. So there's a lot. So
Yeah.
what can you tease a little bit?
I could tease that let me say this. Things get relationships get rocky. There's a little bit of heartbreak, there's a little bit of heartbreak. There might be a little bit of like Kale said, there's definitely some heart, there's some love, there's some rekindled flames, I would say. Um, yeah, I think those are some good points. I'm trying not to give away anything, but yeah, 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 yeah. This is what I'm like, all right, what can I
It's
say
hard.
that's not gonna give anything away? It's so hard. So
It's
hard.
so hard. I
Yeah,
know. Well, that's why I wanted to throw you a book, because I was like, Kale gave a good answer, because like I was like, oh,
yeah,
heart's a good answer. But
yeah, yeah,
okay, so
yeah,
but
yeah,
that
yeah,
adds to it. So a little,
yeah.
so we should be worried is basically what we're
Yeah,
saying. There's some characters
yeah,
to be worried about.
yeah, yes, and then no. Is that you again, baby?
Visitor.
What is that? Uh,
Oh
you
my
want you want you
gosh.
want to come on? You want to join me? You want to say hi?
She's
Come
so
here.
I
Come
can't.
here. Put that in this ear. You want to
Uh-oh.
say hi? Say hi to Monica.
Hi.
Hi,
You're so beautiful.
thank you.
So
Hey,
what are
come
you
on. There
doing
we go.
today?
Um, cutting out crafts.
Oh, that's fun. Are you drawing too? Were
It is.
you were taking
What,
paper and stuff?
what are
What
you
do you
doing
like
with
to
it? What are
draw?
you?
I'm like I'm making crafts like for like I'm making them into dresses.
Really? Wow, that's so cool. All different colors and stuff.
Yeah, and like design.
What does mommy do?
Wow.
Mommy design.
That's why. Yeah, she's taking after mommy.
Ooh, oh, so you want to make like real like dresses that girls can wear, like that we can all wear.
Yeah,
So one
yeah,
day I could be wearing a dress designed by you.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so much fun. Do you love it?
Yeah, I do.
What's your favorite part? Is it like picking out the colors or what do you love about it?
I love I love like sketching.
Oh, okay. So you liked all the drawing, coming up with all the ideas.
Yeah,
You're a little genius.
thank you.
Okay, so you have to promise me when you make your first dress that you
Yeah,
have to send me. I will pay money. I will pay my designer fee
okay,
so I could wear it on a carpet somewhere.
okay.
Okay, we got a deal. Your first one.
Yeah.
Designed by Phoenix Della Pierre.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, that'll be so exciting. So
Yeah.
do you see any of the does she see any of the stuff that you do?
she
Do
does.
you ever see
Yeah, she
do you
does.
watch your dad? So what do you think? Do you think it's crazy that he's on TV? Is that weird? She's like, yes.
Yeah,
Is that weird?
yeah.
Do you like watching the show? Do you like seeing all the crazy stuff that your dad's doing, jumping on horses and doing all this stuff, saving people?
Yeah, I do.
It's cool, right? It's he's like a superhero. Yeah. Are you close with your dad?
Yeah.
Daddy's girl. Well, I'm glad you came in. You're so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you,
look so
baby.
much like your dad.
I do.
My
She's like,
little
Daddy.
twin. Mwah. Let daddy finish up, okay?
Okay.
You want to show me the handshake
No.
real quick? You want to show him the handshake? Show him the handshake real quick. All right. Ha, man, ha. Come get me.
Oh, she's so cool.
There you go.
Love it.
All right, baby. Love you.
Oh my gosh, she's so cute. I
Uh,
can't. Oh my gosh, I want to take her home. She's so adorable.
hey, you can. I mean, yeah, if you
Okay,
want,
I
you
have
can
to
take
come
it for a
on set.
weekend.
Oh my God, I will watch your kids. You and your wife
Yeah.
can like go out and go do your thing, and I will gladly babysit. I love kids.
Oh, man. Remember, there's three. There's three. I don't
I
know
got
if you're ready.
I got it. I got it down. So we kind of like hinted a little bit for what people can expect, I guess, to come. So little heartbreak
Yeah.
and drama,
Yeah.
aftermath.
Well, yeah, plenty of drama. Like I said, I feel like some rekindled flames that
Rekindle,
just keeps
right,
coming to
right.
my head. That just keeps coming to my head.
Mhm,
Reunion, celebration. There's some celebration for
mhm,
sure. So I
mhm.
mean, you're gonna get a little bit of everything. Obviously, like we got to send you
Good.
on an emotional roller coaster. I think that's a good way to put it. It's an
Yeah,
emotional roller coaster.
yeah, which is
And
the
man,
energy of the show.
yeah, yeah.
Such a roller coaster. I want to ask
Yeah,
you a couple fan questions really quick because I know we've been on forever, but
yeah, let's
I'll
get
just
it.
throw a couple to you really quick. So many people had questions for you. Is there any word, by the way, on, I know it's really early, but any
Mm.
news on the renewal yet? Because I know everybody's been asking me. And I'm like, you guys, it's very early, but like
Huh.
this hasn't even finished yet. But
Yeah, trust me, we don't know
any
yet.
word?
It's kind of yeah, we don't know. No
Really?
official word, nothing yet. We're just keeping the fingers crossed that we get the news sooner than later, and it's
Owen.
yes. That's what we're hoping.
All right, so let's see. Oh my Lord, so many people had questions for you. Okay, so oh, this is a good one. Okay, so Casey679 at fandom.inc, he or she said, she has two questions, but I'll just go with the second. What's the Trey? I know what you're gonna say, but what's the
Mm.
Trey theme song in his head if he has one? I feel
The
like I know where this
trade theme
is gonna
song.
go.
Oh man, just in general, or like this season, or
I would go, yeah, let's go in general because I feel like it's kind of the same.
yeah. Oh, that's funny because I mean I mentioned for a particular episode what my theme song was, but in general, I would say, oh, that's tough because now I'm thinking of the whole scope of
It's
Trey.
so funny because I was gonna go that he was gonna go Mission Impossible the whole way.
I but now it
But
fits for
there's the
this
songs.
season. But that's what I'm saying. It
Yeah.
fits for this season and then a segment of the season. But I'd say in general,
Because then you
uh,
would be more of a ballad for like season one.
yeah, exactly. Each season is a little bit different. You know, like season two, there's what's what's uh what's the theme song for Titanic?
My heart will go on. So like
Heart will go on.
season
Yes,
one, you're like endless love.
and look, there we go. That's good. That's good.
Endless
Yes,
love. Season two, my heart will go on.
yes, that's
Season
perfect.
three, we're doing it's like
We're
a
done.
mix. This is like a mixtape. This is like Run DMC mixed with like something or like trying to think like what would go with that.
Oh man,
It's like a mixtape.
the second half I would say is definitely Mission Impossible. We established that, but like the
Yes.
first half is I'm thinking of it's the cowboy song that I'm thinking of. Is it a cowboy song or is it? Yeah, it's oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's a cowboy song that I'm thinking of. Oh no, you know what I'm thinking of?
Oh
Wild
no.
Wild West, Wild Wild West,
Oh my
baby. Freaking Wild Wild West. And
oh
I
my
don't know
god,
why
the
it took me so
OG
long.
Wild Wild West song that
Yeah,
fits it real
yeah,
good. OG Wild
yes,
Wild West into like Run
yes.
DMC into like
But
Mission
yeah.
Impossible.
Mission Impossible. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good
Little
mixtape for
tracker there.
season three, Trey.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
my heart will go on. Killed me.
I
That's so
appreciate you helping me with that.
funny. Well, I had to
I,
go with Endless Love. I mean, that's
yes,
actually my parents' wedding song. So that's what made me think
really,
for season one. But he was all about the love. And then
yes,
Heart Will Go On is all about the heartbreak.
yeah,
Oh, Trey.
for sure.
Trey. I feel so bad for him.
Oh man,
Okay, let's see. So someone wanted to know, do good people had asked if it took a lot of training to perform the action scene. So we already know you do stuff yourself because you're crazy. Um,
yeah.
Kat had asked what was his feeling when saw Trey going undercover. So we kind of went over that. Oh my
Went
gosh, all
over
these
that.
people love
Yeah.
you. I love Trey. Trey's best character. Love Trey this season.
Love you guys. Thank
Um,
you.
okay, so Amanda Stewart, so it's at Rooted Deeply 267, said, what have you enjoyed the most about playing the role of Trey?
Well, that's easy. But I've enjoyed playing. Well, yeah, that's easy. I would say it's the my cast members and the crew. Just being able to go to work and be with these people every day. Like, I mean, think about it. I have three kids, the whole family and everything like that. Love being with my kids and love my family. So like, it's different when you're going to another environment that feels like family. I mean, that is what these guys are. So, you know, it can be tough for certain people who go to jobs where they're, I don't know, I don't want,
We
they're
hate our
miserable. Some
jobs.
people, yeah, we hate our job. Like, exactly. I mean, fortunately, I don't think that's a situation for us, obviously, but there
Mhm.
are some people that have to do that. They have to go leave their families and, you know, put food on the table, and it's
Absolutely.
miserable, whatever it may be. But I don't experience that. Like, I leave my family and I go to another family. Like, I love every single cast member, crew members, like everybody from top to bottom. It's just a joy to be on this set. And I think that bleeds through in the work, you know, whenever we work
Absolutely.
opposite of each other. Because like the rare moments that I might work with Mitch or Molly, like man, it's just like the relationship's already there. Because outside of the characters, we really like vibe. We have a group text, and you know, whenever we do meet up, it's all love. So I think that is the best thing about playing this character is just being around these people in general. You know?
Yeah. And so many have
Yeah.
kids, and so many of you guys,
Yeah.
and then some that don't have kids are like actors that have been doing it for a long time. It's like, so there's
Yes.
such a great gambit of people that are on the show. Like, oh my gosh,
100%.
gotta get into that group chat. Kale mentioned the group chat too, and I was like, what's this?
Oh,
I want in
the,
on
the, gr- the group chat is popping.
that's
When it pops,
I heard it's like crazy. So like I'm messaging all of you guys individually. I don't hear any of the group chat stuff. So I'm like, let's get into the group chat. And what's funny is, again, it's the dads, it's Jared and Jensen, because all 3 shows have group chats. So I was
Of course
like,
they do.
of course you guys are all talking to each other, like all that stuff's happening. Yeah, so we'll have to hack into that. I need to see
Definitely.
messages going on. I feel like there's a lot of memes and photos and just things
Oh
happening.
yeah. Oh man. I would say I'm a meme and gifts guy. That's
Are
my thing.
you?
Especially the gifts. Oh man, I come heavy with the gifts.
Oh my
That's my
God.
thing.
Wait, can I ask you something super personal? Like, you don't have to answer it. But
Hey,
what
what you
was
got?
in the group chat? What was the last thing that you texted?
Last thing that I texted. Can I look
Yeah,
real
of
quick
course.
and
Go
see?
ahead.
Because I'm like, I don't even
If it's
remember.
totally inappropriate, you don't have to say anything.
Yeah, I was about. Let me check.
It's like,
Let me
let me see if
check
I
and
can either
see.
make something up really quickly or
This is perfect. This is perfect. So the last thing that I sent, it's basically a comment off of a picture that Jared sent, and in the
okay.
picture, it's like it's really subtle, but he's wearing a particular watch, and like literally, if you're not in the watch world, you won't even know. Like I'm saying, you can't even really see it. You kind of just see the bracelet, and only me and Keegan would really know. And I think my comment was I spy with my little eye, and then Keegan just like he kind of added on to that, and it was just automatic, man. I knew it. I knew Keegan would respond, and I knew Jared would laugh, and he's sending the emojis with the laughter, with the tears coming out. So that was the
So
last thing that I
funny.
seen. Yeah, yeah.
I love that. You for sure. I was like, I don't know if it's too personal. I don't know what we're
No,
talking about there, but it's watches. All
by
right.
the way, nobody else in the group commented. They're like, these nerds.
Ignoring
I
that.
guarantee you, nobody said a word. It was literally me, Keegan, Jared.
Everybody like looked
Silence.
at it and was like, oh, they're talking about watches, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
funny. That's amazing.
yeah.
Laura at Breathe Fire 210 said, who's been your favorite director to work with so far? And can he share anything about stunts that he's done? So we've talked about a lot about the stunts that
Yeah.
you're like a stuntman on your own, but props to the stuntman, I know. But so
Most
who's been your
definitely.
favorite director to work with?
Why do you gotta ask me that?
No,
I
it's hard
love
because
them
you work with so many
all.
of the same, and a lot of people come back. And
I, I love them all. That's tough. Yeah, exactly. And some of the people that come back, can I name
name a
a
couple. Go ahead.
few? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
of
mean,
course.
our head honcho, honestly, Steve Robin, that is my guy. I love working with him, honestly. I love working with everybody, but there's a there's a special bond with Steve, and it's funny. I think me and Keegan talk about this a lot. He's one of the directors where when you work with him, you want to make sure that he's satisfied and he's happy because if he's happy with it or not. So it's one of those things. It's like actually like the best way to describe it like a little kid trying to make sure that his parent or his father figure is happy, and not disappointed. It's kind of like that feeling.
The
And working with
approval. You
Steve,
want the
man.
approval.
Yeah, you want the approval. That's kind of what it is. And you're like, was that good? But I mean, no, he's great. His notes are amazing, and he has great vision, and he gives us room to play. So that's definitely one. Richard Richard Spate, that's my guy. He's a firecracker. I love it. He's just boom, 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 boom. I mean, and he knows what he wants. He knows what he wants, so he's not
It's
playing any
amazing to
games.
watch him.
Yeah, and I don't know, like he's just able to pull out a performance out of you. It's just amazing. He's fun to work with, and it's a ball of energy.
Yeah, and then he also seems to be able to fix things. Like if
Yeah, yeah,
something's like wrong or not working, like I don't know how
yes.
his brain works so fast, and like all of a sudden he'll spit something. Like, I've been on set before, and he'll spit something out, and everyone goes, I don't know, and he's like, just try it, just try it, just try it, and then like he'll go behind the camera, right, and then all of a
You
sudden they
know,
do
Spate.
it, and everyone goes, oh, that worked, like that
You
worked.
you just summed it all up. You know the man. That's exactly what it is.
That's my
Like
impression of him. Just
real.
do it, and then like he'll go behind the camera, and then like everyone does it, and he's like, okay, that was good, that was good, that was good. And I'm like, oh,
Yes.
there,
And you're just sitting there like, what just happened? That worked?
I
It's the
know.
funniest
Really
thing. Like the
impressive.
in the van, like that scene in the van on this episode that we just had.
Yeah,
In
for
that scene, uh like it was crazy because it was I think that final moment before like Trey gets out of the van, but he's just like, whoa, no, what the hell are you thinking? Blah, blah, blah. Like I'm rattling these things off. It it was Spate that was like, dude, I don't even want you to take a breath. You're just firing this off. You're just whoa. And it just built up like that tension. It was like, what are you doing? And then I couldn't even breathe, man. I just had to get it out there. He was like, that's how quickly, like in the moment, we're trying to move and we're trying to keep this, like, this thing is tense right now. And because it wasn't playing the way I was playing it before, it was fine, but like him adding that layer to it was just like, that was it. And I could feel it. Like
Mhm.
now I felt like I was in the moment where I had to take control and like, dude, hey, no, I got an idea. But yeah, that was one of those moments with him. So that's why he's one of my guys. Austin Nichols. I don't know if you know
Oh,
no
Austin.
Austin.
I love
That's
Austin. I've known Austin
yeah.
like One Tree Hill days. So anyone listening will shout out to that. But he was on One Tree Hill back in the day. I love
Yeah, I
Austin.
know.
I keep making fun of him because of the hair, because his hair. I'm like, dude, get a haircut. I keep tweeting him, giving him a hard time. But like, yeah, I mean, he's amazing too, and it's really cool because he's an actor's director. That's how I've seen him
Look at
direct.
that. It's like, I need you there. Like we can have conversation for hours because in
He really
particular, that's
could,
why.
really
Yeah,
could.
he's phenomenal, and I know Spade is too. But he's like, you know,
It's just different.
it's
It's
great.
different.
It's different, but it's like working with an actor. Like I remember an actor, director. Like he just speaks the same language. I mean, that's what they do. That's what I love about it. And I remember like it was the helicopter episode. That was the first one that he directed last season, season two. And man, like he just gave me some nuggets that were just incredible. And it's like a little kid that just gets excited. Like, oh my God, like that's what happened when he would just kind of whisper something in my ear. I'm like, oh dude, that's great. Let's do that. It's just like let's play.
Yeah,
And
and
he
like,
has
and
that
I
type
love
of
his
energy.
like delivery too, because he's like Spade's like loud, fast, and
Yes.
like, and you're like, what? And then like you do it and it works, right?
Yeah.
Nichols, he's like quiet. And but then when he walks up to you and he gives you something like advice, and again, this is just like being on sets, like I've been on so many sets before, like seeing them.
It's like you've been
Um,
on our set. It's like you've been with us.
I've
Oh, what?
secretly been there. I wish I have. I haven't been there yet. You guys are one of the few sets I haven't been on. But for
Season
Nichols,
4.
like I love seeing like, he's such an actor's director in that he'll come up and say, just shift your body a little this way, move your head a
Yeah.
little that way. And then when you're saying it, take a pause. Or like he'll do so like things like that.
Yeah.
Because viewing it from an actor's perspective. So he goes, you'll look better. This will make more sense. This will work. Like those kind of things.
And they're
And
so subtle.
yeah, like and the littlest thing that he'll
Yeah.
change changes that whole scene. Like even
Big
if he
time.
makes you move a step back, pull your shoulders up, like you don't just anything. The way you talk, say it a little softer, or
Yeah.
be more aggressive, or like, and he's very like chill with his kind of
Yeah.
way of doing it, and then it just
Yeah.
changes like the whole scene. So
100%.
he's like definitely an actor's director for sure. And like Richard is too, but
100%.
Richard's like energetic and fast. Like
Yeah.
his work so fast. So it's like you're trying to catch up, and then when you catch up, you're already doing it, and then it's good.
Yes.
So you're just like, all right, I'm good. So
It's literally like you are there. It's so funny the way you're describing it. Like you're doing a better job than me. Like that's them to the T. I love it.
well,
Yeah.
I love like clearly I love watching everything. So I'm always like watching everybody and like seeing what everyone's doing. But I'm always like fascinated with like the whole process. So seeing them
I
come out
appreciate
and
how
give notes and stuff. So
invested.
it's cool. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's
how
really fun.
invested you are is amazing. Thank you for that.
Gosh, so invested. I love all of this. Let's see. I'll ask you like two more because I've kept you for so long. Let's see. See, all these people are asking if you had all this training, and I'm going, no, he's like a natural born superhero. Let's see. I think we kind of went over this, but I think we could add to it though. Kat at Pathian34 said, what was his feeling when he saw Trey was going undercover? So I don't know if we initially asked how you felt initially finding out
Did we?
that he was going undercover.
I mean, another moment where I was just thrilled and excited because that's something new for Trey. It's new territory for me as an actor as well too. So like the emotions were just like running wild because it's like okay. But initially, when I first found out that I was going undercover, I think we covered this. as well. But remember how you said that I still remained Trey, like it was Trey, but Trey on the cover, even
Yeah.
though I was pretending to be like a villain or a bad guy within the
Yeah.
organization. I still kept, a sense of myself and my identity within that world. But when we first got into it, I didn't know what undercover meant. Was I don't know, am I going to be in a getup? Like initially, I didn't know
Okay.
what it
Yeah.
was. So I was like, I don't know, I'm not going to get any prosthetics or anything, but it's like, what kind of undercover? Am I going to be a different character? Like, but again, this is Trey playing Trey undercover, right? But prior to that, I thought it could have been a thing kind of like Walker did. He had
I
a
was just
completely
gonna
different
say, like when
persona.
we first meet him, yeah, it's a completely
Right.
different person, and like you
Yes.
don't get to see much of Walker until something happens, and then
Yes,
you start
exactly.
seeing him. So yeah, it's
And
super
he,
valid concern to be like, what am I doing? Am I totally
right.
changing? Am I going like, fully by a different name and
Yeah.
walking different, talking different,
Exactly.
wearing
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
clothes? Like, what am I doing?
Mickey did as well. The top of season 2. So it was the same thing for me where I was like, oh, this am I playing a completely different character? Or, so I was excited. I had all those kind of thoughts and questions. And then once we honed in and I figured out, oh, cool, I get to be Trey. But now it's a little different. We gotta throw in some layers there where it's like, all right, he's Trey, but he has to fool all of these people within the organization and seem as if he's down for their cause. And like as
Right.
far as like, murdering people, that's a possibility. And he has to seem comfortable with that. So that I think that was very fun and I loved that take on it. Cause yes, it was very easy to go and say, oh yeah, he's undercover. We're gonna throw on these glasses, he's gonna grow out a beard, he's no longer Trey.
Right.
He's a hunter, something. I don't know. I'm just coming up with different things. He walks with a limp, or like he's like all these different things. Yes, that's fun to play as well too. That's a completely different character. But I think it was for an actor it's a lot more challenging to go play that same character, but kind of add to it and like, oh no, this guy has just
I
turned
agree.
rogue now. Yeah,
Because I
Ooh,
think I mean, again, I'm not an actor, but like I think when you're playing a completely different person, you're forgetting Trey, right? So you're like, this is
yes,
a new person. What is his story? How is this
right,
believable? Why like almost like with Walker, like why is he a bank robber? Why did this thing
yeah,
happen? How does all that work? I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
harder, I agree, when I'm still Trey, but I also have to be X, Y, and Z. But the viewers need to know when I'm being Trey, when I'm not being
yeah,
Trey, not to,
yes,
I'm not crossing over. Like, so I
yeah,
think that's a lot to try to like
yeah.
figure out. And so
It's
to
literally
me, it seems hard.
acting within acting, acting within acting within acting almost.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
like
whoa, whoa.
crazy. Yeah, so
Yeah,
like to me that would be harder. Again, I'm not an actor, so I'm sure maybe other people find it harder to like play someone completely different because you get comfortable in who you're playing, but
hmm,
to me that seems harder. And
yeah,
that's why I was like concerned for you because when I saw that you were going undercover, I was like worried. And then I told you it was your eyes. Like that's what for me was like the solid. And I was like, oh, it's Trey. Like it's Trey. He's just getting through what he's got to get through. Like he's not lost. Because some people go undercover
right,
and you get lost, right? And then you're not the same
yeah,
person. And that's not happening
right,
for your character. And so
right.
yeah, it's all your eyes. That's what
Thank you.
what kept me going. He's a good guy. He's still a good guy, I swear.
Uh,
Okay, so let's do one last question. Oh, see, someone else asked about that. How so I mean we can end on this one because I do think that this is going to be important moving forward. So Layla McManus asked something that I asked you earlier. At McManus Layla said,
mhm.
how do you think Trey letting that guy die when he was undercover will affect him once Gray Flag is taken down? So we talked about this, that's so against his whole being.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how do you move forward from that? And then so I know we touched on it before, but like when you really think about it, he's a ranger that wants to help people. Before that, he was a
yeah,
marine that wants to help people. Before that, he was a teacher
mhm,
that wants to help people. So this is a guy that would help anybody and everyone.
yeah,
So how do you not, I mean, obviously you're affected. And like you mentioned, like, you don't want to say necessarily PTSD, but like there's got to be some sort of response to it. Is this going to
yeah,
be like you think a journey that he's going to be on? I mean, like a guy died and like that was my biggest thing too, was like that was the first time it was so not Trey. That was like
yeah,
so far from Trey. You had to though. So like nobody's
yeah,
mad at you, like you had to, but it was the furthest decision Trey's made from Trey. if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. Big time. Big
I
time.
will actually, I guess we'll end with that question. So how is that going to happen? Like, down the line, you think? I mean, this could be
I
into
think
multiple seasons too. I
I
mean,
think it can. I hope it is. That's something that's I feel like would affect this character, in the long term. Not necessarily like for a day or two, but I think in the remainder of the season you will see hints of it. I mean, that's the type of person he is. I mean, he would have to be a sociopath to just be like, all right, cool, I'm moving on now, fine, like and forget about it. But this is something that is going to deeply haunt him. But how does he deal with it? I think that it's going to be in the relationships. It's going to be the other characters that he has relationships with and that he, holds close to him. They're the people that are going to have to like actually,
they got to bring it
ease that
back.
pain a little bit. Yeah, they got to bring him back for sure. And you see a little bit of that in the remainder of the season. So I don't think it's going to completely go away. I hope it is something that they play into a little bit on season 4, and I just mean the entirety of the whole Gray Flag experience, but
I
that
agree.
in particular, because that is the one guy that I essentially, I let die. I didn't
Yeah.
purposely kill him, but I mean, I had no other choice. So that might be a thing that affects choices that he makes in the future.
Right.
So
Or like
I
even
love
like,
that.
nightmares or flashbacks or like, all sorts of
1000%.
crazy stuff can go
Yeah.
down like for season 4. And like it's hard to get, and I think realistically, if they decide to go that route, it's so real because it could take people like months to get over, like years to get over something like that. So
Yeah.
to have him just like walk away and be like, yeah, I'm cool, wouldn't make
Yeah.
sense. He has to have
Right.
something that is like eating at
Yeah.
him a little bit. And maybe it might not be flashback. Maybe in season 4 there'll be parts where it just shows. And you're like, "Ooh, that's a
Yeah.
little not like Trey. That's a little snippy or a little bite-ish,"
Yeah.
or he's making
Yeah.
kind of reckless decisions, like things that that are like an offset, like a ripple
Definitely.
from that happening. So I could have
Definitely.
something.
And again, there is a clear distinction between, working like as law enforcement and working like military. That's a different lifestyle. I mean, we're in war or whatever it may be. Who knows how many people, like clearly he's taken a life before, but that's under a different context. And I don't think it's a thing where, oh, that didn't bother him, but it was more so like that was like, behind enemy lines. That was just a different context. Now this is just like kind of almost like his civilian life where he's
Right.
removed from that, and I get it. He's undercover. It's almost the similar circumstances, but at the end of the day, it's like military trade is different from like
Right. Well,
ranger
it's
trade or
hard because
undercover trade.
yeah, because military, obviously, there's a part of you that has to shut off. I think
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
have a friend that has served, and he always would say like there was a part of you to get through it that just has to shut off. And he was
yeah,
like, no, some of us, and I thought he said it in such a great way. He said some of us go through therapy and will do things to try to like process that little like box. He's like that I
yeah,
shut everything into. He's like it doesn't affect my life in like a daily basis, but he's like, but it can bleed into it. So like
yeah.
I work on that little part, but I can't open it. Like if I opened it, like all sorts of stuff would come out.
Oh my God.
So he's like, I work on that box. So like I can understand like military, you shut it off because like you're
Yeah.
there, you're doing what you have to do, you're defending independence or democracy, whatever it is. There's something bigger than you. When you're
Right.
undercover, it's pretend because
Yeah.
although you're a police officer or a ranger or whatever it is, you're pretending. So at the end
Right.
of the day, pretending is not the same as shutting off emotion.
Not at all.
So to see
Not at
someone
all.
die,
And again, it's a special circumstance because it's not like somebody's firing a shot at me.
right,
Like
like
that's
there was a
different
threat
because
at you
you've
other
seen
than
Trey do that. Right.
right, other than the
This is
versus like
somebody that I could have saved and I let him die
right.
versus like
Like maybe
somebody
like you
that's
could have saved
firing
him
at me.
and tried to like talk to him or do something, but in the moment
Right.
you were like, I have no choice because I don't
Yeah.
know if he's gonna go on my side. It's clear that he's adamant with this group
Oh yeah.
and did what you have to do. So like, so I can
Yeah.
understand that being like so much worse because it's just, like how do you get past that? And I guess we'll have to see how Trey like gets past something like that. But yeah, for me,
So we shall.
that was the first. I remember when I saw that episode because I saw it early. Right away, I went ooh, like during that scene, and I was like, wow. And when it ended, I just kept going. That was the first time that it was the furthest decision from Trey's being. Like, because the
Yeah.
characters, sometimes I'll watch a show and a character will do something that's so out of character, and you're like, like, and it could be the writing, it could be the acting, like whatever comes up. it wasn't out of character in terms of like it didn't make sense. It was just out of character in terms of how Trey would be. But I knew that we had to. And like, so the pretending thing is where it gets tricky. That's not where you get to like close it off. So we'll have to see how he goes with it. But you should know that a ton of people, so I had tagged you in to send me questions.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of people. But we would be on here for hours if I wrote back, if I answered the question. So I'm sorry to everybody that I didn't answer or ask your question, but there is a ton of love for Trey on here. So like I said before, there's more people that have commented. Trey's one of my favorite characters. One of the best episodes was when Trey became a ranger. I'm so happy that he's finally a ranger. Trey wearing the ranger suit, one of the best moments of the season. Loving that Trey was the one that was chosen to be undercover. Best decision. Renew for a new season. We love you, Trey. A lot of that they love Jeff. Jeff, you're so this person said, Jeff, you're so amazing. I love watching you play Trey and everything that you do with him. So a lot of love on for you.
Thank you to everybody. Honestly, I love you guys. You're the reason why the show is going on, and hopefully we're going on for many, 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 many more seasons to come. But thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, Monica. Man, we need to do this more often. We'll
I know. I feel like it was like therapy. I got to get out my things, my questions, my emotions. But yeah, this was like so great. I'm so happy that you came on. I'm so appreciative of your time because we've been on for like forever. But this seems like a recurring theme because like everyone from the show, I'm on for like my normal podcast, it would be like 20-30 minutes, and we're all on for like an hour, 2 hours talking because I think because we all love it so much. It shows that all of you guys really love it. I really love it. So like we get so into it that time just kind of flies. But I appreciate you taking the time because you have kids, your dad, you're at home, you're not working. So I feel so bad. But it was so amazing talking to you and hearing like, all of these things and you just explaining stuff. And I couldn't be happier for you to have the character Trey and how much it has grown from when we first met him to now. And just the work that is being done for other kids, and even for your daughter and like, and your kids that are going to get to see, like, that's why I like, when I was like, do you watch your dad? And I was like, he's a superhero. She's like, like, they're getting to see you and like, they're, a small percentage of a million other kids, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many people that are looking up to you and watching you and you're such a humble, great guy. And I couldn't be happier for you. So just congratulations. So and I'm like crossing my fingers for another season.
Hey, you and me both. Again, thank you. This was awesome. Incredible questions. Like it was just so fun. And it's just like, I don't know. It's like we're just kicking it on the couch, just hanging out. Just like, that's how it felt. I love that. This was great. Didn't feel like an interview per se,
I'm glad. Well, we have to have you back on. So maybe we'll have you back on after the finale. I was about to just say something. After the finale. I almost got in trouble. Maybe we'll have you back on after.
It's hard, right? Yeah.
It is really hard. It's very hard. People don't realize too for like journalists because we have no one to talk to.
Right.
But like now I'm messaging Kale with things. So I'm like, oh my God, so I'm like sending him stuff. But so if anyone wants to watch, Walker is available on the CW app. So you can go stream all of the episodes on there. They have everything current up to episode 13. And then check out new episodes weekly. And we will follow what happens in we got a couple weeks left. So we'll see what other trouble this group's going to get into. And I want to thank you, Jeff, for coming on. We love Trey, and till we meet again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it, Monica. Love you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to Jeff Pierre break down all things Trey, give some behind-the-scene details, and even tell some fun stories that you might not have known. Make sure you're all caught up before the finale airs by heading over to the CW app and watching all of the episodes for free, and check out new episodes Thursdays at 8 p.m. on the CW. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.